Good morning. Happy Thursday. Let me go ahead and get a little refill here real quick. Man, I am so glad. I am so glad I'm making it through the week. It's been a rough week. Rough start on Monday, but we're getting through it. A little bit throat acting up. I want to say salud. Keep the fight. Good morning and welcome to the Dennis Herrera Show. It's so good to be here with you guys again. Thank you so much for being here, for your support. Good morning, Big Bro Robert has woken up from his elderly early morning nap. Busta Move. I was about to say Bustamantes, but it's Busta Move says hello this morning. My man in the house. Welcome, brother. Welcome. Good to see you, my peoples. What's up? Brian Reedy representing in the house on fire. I'm only excited because I'm almost done with the week. That's the only excitement. I'm excited because it's the end of my week. And, you know, when we do the weekends, that's to me now, it's that's extra. I will say this. Some have messaged me to say, Dennis, we need you to start doing night lives again. Yeah, well, it's nice. It's nice that that you guys like that, and I appreciate it. Would like to leave the afternoons for me, my wife, and the family. And if there's nothing else or something might be really important to do, I will go ahead and do evening lives. The whole thing, guys, it's all about, it is business. It is all about entertainment. It is time allowance, you know, all these other things. I gotta be able to balance some things around. So, you know, one of the things that you guys probably don't know is I have my office chair right behind me right here, but it doesn't raise up high. So I'm trying to get a high chair, not for eating like a baby high chair, but a stand up sort of that office chair, whatever it's called. So it's just so that I can go ahead and rest my feet. Now, most of the viewers here are my age or older, and so you know what I'm talking about. Uh, Having a lot of the heel pain from standing for 3, 5, 6, sometimes 9 hours straight can be a pain, a big pain, like literally a big pain. Now, I have President Trump just made an announcement about EPA, and he is reversing some bad decisions that the Biden administration made. And he is making America more business like again. So that's some good news. And I'm also monitoring here somewhere. Where the hell? Where did my window go? Right here. Okay. And I'm also monitoring that there is going to be a live streaming here. It's from Attorney General Blanche. He's going to be addressing some Minneapolis fraud investigations. Now, you and I both know, what the socialist Democrats have been doing with all this fraud everywhere. But we still need to see people behind bars. I want to see Ilhan Omar in jail, and I want to see her get deported afterwards. I don't know if God would allow me to see that, but that is what I want to see. Now, with that being said, I wanna just say thank you guys for always being here with me. I know you guys can't be here through the whole time. Some of you probably just at work listening to all the BS and the drama that we go through. So I appreciate you guys for being here. Thank you so much for liking the videos. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for becoming members. Shows me your love and your appreciation. I also know that even though it's just like $4 or $5 or whatever the hell it is that YouTube charges, I know it's $3 for me, but I'm going to tell you, if you're not a member, that's okay. It's just I don't notice you as much. And now you guys know that I try to pay attention to all of the people that are positive. Like Tyler, good morning, sir. Good to see you in here. Hope you're praying for the Dennis Herrera show every day. Put that in your list of prayers. And I do know that some people, like our little brother Omar, right? Omar is going through some hard times, so I don't expect him to have the monthly membership. You know, Jason Martin, he's at the general position. He's paying about $30 a month. I believe that's what it comes out to with like I guess tax or whatever. And you guys don't have to do that. I mean, it's huge help for me. But I also know that, getting caught up with subscriptions and all this, here and there, it adds up. I get it. I'm not going to put the burden on you. Just know that I really do appreciate you, even if it doesn't matter what level of membership. Now, with that being said, Tanya in the house. Good morning, big sis. A big hug and a kiss for you. And yes, salud with our morning coffee. Now, I sent a message to some of you guys yesterday because I was so excited that we finally hit 20,000 subscribers. Now, the goal is 100. The goal is 100,000 subscribers. And there's a reason for that. Obviously, again, it's a business. This is a job. But the amount of subscribers, that's the minimum goal that we're trying to reach. And that's because we're going to be doing some things, hopefully, within our community. Now, I'm here in Washington State, so, hopefully more people from Washington State will join me. I've been watching these politicians, these debates in California and throughout, and, it's really a little bit crazy and alarming that in California, they have a huge chance to save California. And I still don't understand why people support those who want to destroy or have been destroying their states. And so, having 2 years before I put my name officially to run for governor here in Washington, it makes you wonder, is it worth it? Is it something that we can fight? And the answer is always absolutely 100%. It is worth it. You got to pay about 2,300. No, what is it? Yeah, $2,350. I guess it's going to be by the time that I run. And it is a burden. It is that money that, has to come out of my pocket or whatever. But I'm hoping that we can actually collect some signatures. All the registered voters will be able to get some volunteers and start collecting signatures. I mentioned this because, I think there's like maybe maybe a few more people that might be running for governor, and hopefully they can beat me. And hopefully they do a good job. A lot of people are banking on trying to make me politically correct. That's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. I'm not a politician, okay? I'm not a politician. I troll people just as much as they troll me. But, the reason why I wear my Gulf of America, my Make America Great Again hat, and all these other things, it's because I really, I don't like to be controlled, and I don't like to be manipulated. And I feel like when I do these things, I am in control of myself. I am in control of what happens here on my channel and in my life. And when we are running for office, we're not going to run trying to pretend to be something that we're not. We're always going to keep it real. We'll always continue to be real. And, again, I even mentioned, I will take a pay cut from that governor's salary, just to show a good sign of faith for people. I just don't really believe on the whole mentality of, you're running for office because you want a paycheck. That's not how I don't support anybody that does that. If you're going to run for office just because you're trying to build a career out of being in office, I'm sorry that you do not have my support. So with that being said, that's just what I believe. And I think that everybody, honestly, should be on the same boat. That nobody should really be trying to run for office just because they want to get that yearly paycheck. I think that's the wrong reasons to run for office. Now, with that being said, let me see where we're down here. It says your audio is way down, sir, not like all other channels. That's because I yell a lot, and so a lot of people complain that the audio is too loud and we start yelling and this and that. But I can adjust it a little bit. Let's see. Let's get a little bit more gain. Hopefully that's it. Let's see. Bam! There you go. See, it peaks when I do that. So don't have the best microphone. It's okay. It's okay. It's the decent microphone, but it's not the best. It's not the best. Let's see. Jack Smith, prosecutor, was charged. Yeah, we're going to touch up on some of the FBI stuff. You know, as a matter of fact, let me see. I think that is one crappy reception from these news channels. You will think that they will have better quality. That is horrible. But they did. They started. Hold on. Yeah, they already started the Attorney General Blanche with the Minneapolis fraud. We'll go ahead and start with our POTUS on EPA, and then we'll move up the ladder here. I do have to run to take my son to the high school. He had a late start today, so I got to go drop him off. But I will be with you on my phone. I just won't be on camera, obviously. So just to give you a little heads up, so you don't think like, what the hell, Dennis is over there taking a liberal dump. Robert, that's the way he thinks. So I gotta put a disclaimer out there that that's not what we're doing. If I need a break for myself, I will let you know I need a break, okay? But most of the time, I just need like maybe 2 minutes, and that's it. And then we'll bust out with the 6 to 8 hour long shift. Thank you, What's the Move, for the floating hearts. Appreciate it. I still don't know what the hell they do, but I appreciate it. It shows support, I believe. And I thank you for that. Okay, Matt. The Mott Way has already been deleted on the comments. Why? What's going on? It says, is that why Grinder crashes where Republicans gather due to their honesty? I don't know what this guy is smoking this morning, but it is what it is. Puffy eyes and cheeks sound like allergy. It could be. I never suffered from allergies ever before. I will say this, that now it could be just coincidence, but I will say this. My health has deteriorated since I took the vaccine, the COVID shot, and I took the 3 boosters after that. I know. Hey, listen, why do you think that I do and say what I say today? I was duped. I was lied. I hated that we lost control of our freedoms in this country. And so that's why I'm standing right here with you doing the Dennis Herrera show, telling you the truth, telling you my opinion, and also showing you some facts. Dirty Money in the house. Dirty Money, man, where you been? I've seen you here a couple of times, but you was not making as much a splash as you was making before. What's going on? Come back to the actual. Let's drift together. These guys like to have these grifting shows that they support. This is. Let me say. Hey, hold on. Let me tell you something. If you know this is a MAGA channel, you know this is MAGA Nation. You know I support Republicans. You know I support conservatives, etc. If you do not agree with me, why not go to a channel where you do agree with? It just doesn't make sense to me. Now, I will tell you that, if I sit here and I lie to you, my popularity will grow huge. But that's not the way that I roll. We'll do it slowly, little by little, but we'll do it honestly. That way, nothing comes back to bite us in the ass. If you support me when I'm running, when I'm campaigning, nothing's going to bite us in the ass. Yeah, well, liberals love to talk about Trump. That is for sure. Um, you guys watched the live yesterday, and I shared a clip from a couple of days ago with President Trump said that what's the guy's name? Mark, the guy from the Shark Tank. He said that he made a big mistake, a huge mistake, and the fact is that one of the things that I noticed it's President Trump is a businessman. Mark is also a businessman. Mark Cuban, I think it's called, right? I think something like that. Um, and Mark did some stupid ass clips about Trump and has said the nastiest things about. Yeah, thank you. There you go. Thank you, Jason. And has said the nastiest things about Trump, and that's okay. But the one thing that for some reason the people on the left or the crazy people that have TDS, it's funny that they say, oh well, this guy is such a liar. Like, he hated Trump at first, and all of a sudden he's okay with him. You know what they don't see is that we can be we can disagree and we can argue and this and that, but I'm going to tell you something. I appreciate people that are able to put away their differences so that they can do something to better our country. You know what I'm saying? For the better of humankind, so to speak. And I also watched a clip from The View. I think by watching these clips of how stupid they are staying on the air. I thought they were going to be off air already, to be honest. But The View has the biggest problem is that everything has Trump's name. I don't care if everything has Trump's name. It doesn't make a difference to me. So what? Let the men leave a legacy. The family has a great history of hard work and sacrificing and trying to build this country. And I appreciate that. So what? We have Obamacare, was the crappiest health care that we can have. And socialist Democrats, they still support that. They still defend it. And they still think it's the best thing to where, by the way, they call it the affordable Obamacare. I was never able to afford it. It was so dang expensive. And so these people on the left, they're over here judging President Trump, and they're telling people, don't buy the drugs, the discounted drugs. They judge President Trump because he didn't say we're here for health care, but we are here for wealth care. just like, bro, if he's saving us, the American people, if he's saving us thousands of dollars that we don't have to pay on prescription drugs, that is making us wealthier. That is putting more money in the pocket of those who can afford to be spending so much money on drugs. So Mark Cuban, President Trump, and all these geniuses, Dr. Oz, etc., these guys are building a great thing for our country, and people that have TDS just can't take it. And my thing is this. Listen, I'm going to give you some advice. Now I know that we have just a few people here, okay? But let me give you some advice. If you are on the left, here's where I am. I support everything Trump does. And you can call me his puppet. You can call me his child. Well, you can call me whatever you want. Okay? Here's where I'm going to go with this. Hold on. Tanya said something. The Streamlabs is putting our patriot dirty money in timeout. Dirty money, you being bad, man? What's going on? No. It doesn't put him in timeout. It just removes the comments, I believe. He don't have the freedom. All right, I'll give you the freedom. I normally like to make my members moderators so that because that way I can see the color on their names. But we'll make Dirty Money a moderator. He's a good guy. He's one of the good vets. You guys can hear that on my throat. I don't know what the hell it is. Hopefully I'm not getting sick. I know that I've been having really hard time in the last 5 days sleeping at all. Normally, it's like I have problems sleeping, but last 5 days has been really, really bad. And it's not that a breathing thing or the thing with the CPAP or anything like that. It's the thoughts. They just play and they don't stop. They just continue to go, and it's crazy. I can't control it. There's times where I feel like I need to convince myself before I go to sleep, and you know we're gonna go ahead and just not talk about anything. And this is one of the reasons why I slow down on my evening lives, trying to get my mind off of things. But that's the thing that people don't understand, and they always say that, oh, this guy doesn't have ADHD. He don't know what the hell that is. Well, you don't know. You're not in my mind, okay? If you live in my mind, you go crazy. So I'm very grateful that I'm able to handle everything that God has allowed to happen with me in my life. Now, with that being said, I will say that I support President Trump on everything that he's doing. And my advice to people on the left, which of course they're not going to take, and they're probably not even going to understand what it means that I'm going to tell them. But I'm going to say this. If you are on the left and you hate something that President Trump is doing, this is how you fix it. You ready? Here we go. Instead of being a dumbass and coming over here and insulting him, why don't you show us how to do it right? And the problem with that is that you don't know how. You don't know how. Most of the people that come into my channel to criticize me or troll me, they can criticize and insult and say this and that. And you know what the difference is when I insult people? I insult people in general. And the only people that jump at me, well, they're taking the insult themselves. I'm not naming anybody unless that person is directly talking to me with an insult, then I will insult them directly. But what I would do is, if I know that the libtards are doing something wrong, I'm going to come up and I'm going to fight it with a solution. For example, we had a massive illegal immigration due to an open border problem. So what's my argument? Secure the damn border. Done. I told you what's wrong, and I gave you a fix. And now we got it. President Trump, you wonder why I supported tariffs. President Trump put tariffs on everybody because everybody was taking advantage of us. So we did reciprocal tariffs. For those who don't know what that means, is we're going to put tariffs on those countries who put tariffs on us. And so I supported it 100%. I still do. I still do. And what happened? Well, we were losing hundreds of billions of dollars. Now we're making hundreds of billions of dollars. Was that a solution? Yes. So we're losing money. What are we going to do? Well, bring him to the table. Let's make a deal. Trump, put the tariffs. I support it 100%. You know what? It works. If you have a disagreement with how this administration is carrying on their agenda, which what we voted for, by the way, give us a solution. The problem is that every solution that you people on the left give us, it actually makes this country unsafe. It has been destroyed. The same policies that people on the left have been playing for years is the same policies that has been destroying our economy. And how convenient it is that President Trump gets into office and now they can blame him for all their incompetence in government. Like, for example, all this political dinosaurs that we have in Congress and the Senate, they've been in power for so long. They've been in office for so long, like Bernie Sanders. They've been in power for so long that they have destroyed the economy. Like, they have been in power for so many years. career politicians. They have been in power for so many years, and yet somebody that's coming in right now gets blamed for decades of incompetence from their ruling. It doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't make sense to me. Hey, Steve, how are you, bud? You know, they come up with the stupid ideas. Oh, by the way, just a little FYI. I heard that President Trump has made a brigade of immigration judges. About 80, I think. It's like 78 to 80 new immigration judges. Let me tell you something. If you are a migrant here illegally, let me remind you that this is not your country. Let me remind all those corrupted politicians out there that somebody visiting our country are not constituents. They are not citizens. They are not considered residents. You can have a 1-year lease on your apartment house. I don't know how you got a 1-year lease because your visa gives you up to 3, maybe up to 6 months of stay here in this country. So you are not a permanent resident. Any mayor or any governor that wants to fight for their constituents, it has to be citizens or permanent residents. Everybody else, you are not a resident. So I will not call anybody that is illegal in Washington State a Washingtonian. The only people that are Washingtonians are citizens and residents that actually live here for 6 months or longer. Any tourist, again, any illegal immigrant, you are not Washingtonians. You are not Californians. You are not Oregonians. You are not Arizonians. You are not anything in our country. And if you were at some point illegal and now you are legal, you should stand with me and defend immigration law. That's crazy. You know, last night I watched this movie called, oh my gosh, I was cringing the whole time, but I was watching this movie that's called Overboard. Okay, now this is with a comedian actor from Mexico, Derbez, right? This guy, I don't know what his real name is, but that's what the guy's name is on the show that I've seen. And he is a very funny guy. But, you know, the story goes like this. Okay, so he is a rich Mexican guy, okay? He's rich. And yes, it's very dramatic like regular Mexican families are. They're into soap operas, the drama, the cheating, the lying. I mean, this is something that is common amongst Mexicans, okay? Now, with that being said, yes, they're very festive. And believe me, I know a lot of great Mexicans that don't lie, cheat, and steal. But most of these people in the culture, because of soap operas, this is who they are. They like drama. They like to cheat and steal. So anyway, so in this movie, the guy is on this ship, right? And it's funny enough, right, that he is the rich guy. And he's out there, he's having fun with all these women, drinking and this and that, and, you know, just degrading women, like the whole thing, you know, like any Playboy guy does. And the maid, right, is a white girl, a blonde, white American girl, comes onto his boat, onto his yacht, and he treats her like crap. He actually even throws her overboard and even throws her little vacuum carpet cleaner in the water, in the ocean. So she has to pay all this money back, right, for the equipment. Now, the guy has an accident, and he falls up the yacht and ends up at a beach. The guy lost his memory. The white girl saw him on the news. She went to the hospital, and she went and claimed him as her husband. So here's the catch. So she takes him as her husband, and her plan is to punish him. You with me so far? Carlos? Carlos, pay attention. Pay attention. Stay on subject. We're not talking about war. I'm talking about overboard. And so the guy gets convinced that he is the husband. Now, she makes him sleep outside, right, on the shed. She holds out, does not want to give out the bread. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm talking about. You know the bread. La torta, you know. She doesn't want to give it up to the guy, right? And then she makes him get a job. Like Mexicans, right? Because only Mexicans can do construction job for some reason in the mentality of today's American. Which is not true. But anywho, this is a crew of Mexicans who building a pool, etc. And the guy is so rich, he's never worked a day in his life, right? So he goes and works this construction job. He's exhausted. He gets home, and then the wife gives him a list of things to do. And that includes cooking, doing laundry, running errands, babysitting the kids, which, by the way, she had 3 daughters. And then he has to do all of these chores while she is studying to be a registered nurse. And I think in my head, okay, so here's 3 things that I've noticed. One of them, that they have this whole, what do you call this? It's not prejudice. What do you call that when you're assuming somebody does this, somebody does that? Why did I miss? Why is that word not? See, I don't use this kind of things to to describe people. It's not prejudice. Well, somebody give me a word. What's the name for it? Not bias. If I say, come on, this is the tip of my brain. If I say black people like fried chicken, I know it's true, but so does everybody else. What do you call that when I'm making that statement? It's not an assumption, but it is kind of. But there's a word for it. If I see it on the chat, I will know which one it is. Okay, so Mexicans, you know, they're stereotype. Oh my gosh, yes. Oh. Man, the delay on the chat kills me. Thank you. Stereotype. Okay, so here's the stereotype about Mexicans. Okay? Mexicans, they work construction. This is what Mexicans do. Okay? They're not smart enough to, you know, have these big companies. But anyway, so they go and he goes and works construction. The guy is having a hard time. You know, everybody's picking on him, laughing at him because they know that he is not who he thinks he is. Yeah, he doesn't remember. He lost his memory. And so anyway, so they go, and the white girl doesn't do shit around the house. She doesn't give up the punani. She doesn't do laundry. She doesn't clean. She is the stereotype, the typical white girl. Lazy, dirty. Nothing good about a white woman. That's the stereotype that they put on there. And he's the Mexican that works in construction. Great stereotype. Now, here's the third one, and I think that this is the one that really bothered me the most, which is the most legit. For some reason, he plays a role where he is so empathetic with his wife. And the wife, the fake wife, right, treats him like shit. She treats him like shit. She don't give it up. She makes him go work hard work while she's studying to be a registered nurse. And the kids, they fall in love with him because he's such a great father, because he pays attention to them and he has this relationship with them. And now he's a great guy, right? But every time that he talked with his wife, the fake wife, again, I don't know what to do. Oh my God, I'm so sorry. I am going to try better. He acts so gay, so emasculine, so feminine. I get it. He's a Mexican comedian, and I know that in Spanish we have this gay accent, so to speak. Oh my God, you know, I don't know. I should have done better, you know, like she feels bad because she knows that she's abusing him. And he's the one that goes and apologizes and says, I am so sorry, I'm going to try better, while he's still sleeping outside in the shed. If you haven't seen this movie, I'm not promoting it, but doggone it, if you want to see what I'm talking about, it's called Overboard. With the Mexican guy. not the original white people. And what gets to me is that this is what socialists, Democrats, and liberals want. See, they want men to stop being masculine. They want men to grow estrogen instead of testosterone. They want women to be lazy, to not be a housewife or even a mother. The husband is sort of a gay guy that has no balls because the wife has those balls in her purse. I'm telling you, it bothered me. Now, I will say this. There's a couple of scenes on there that, of course, they're very legit, very emotional. I thought it was beautiful. Yes, it's okay for us to be sensitive. It's okay for us, to be a little bit weak sometimes. But you can't stop being a man. You can't stop, having that fight. You know what I'm saying? And so anyway, so that's what I'm looking at, right? This is the society that we live in today. They want to build men that act like women. And they want to build weak women to act like tough men. I just don't know. I don't know what their mentality is on all this stuff. It's just so upside down to where we're supposed to be. So, here's the difference. Justice, nice one. That's a good one. Okay. No. Don't delete the comments. Don't delete the comments. Don't delete the comments. I eat this little hoodlums for breakfast. I dare you to do what I can do. I dare you to do what I can do. I dare you to outwork me. I dare you to outskill me. I dare you to outsmart me. I dare you to outman me. You the garbage. I know who I am. I'm a real man, and that's why my wife is submissive to me. You don't understand the plan that we have. You don't know the arrangement that we have. But we are a married couple. She has her skills, I got my skills. She puts her talents to work, I put my talents to work. I don't know, Troublefield. Why don't we do this? Man, I got to go drop my son off. I'll tell you what. We're going to go ahead and start listening to the live from EPA while you cowards sit here and wait. I will be back, and I'll take some phone calls. How's that? I will take some phone calls and see if you can outsmart me, outskill me, and outwork me. Go write some facts. Go write some statements that you want to make. When I come back, I will give you a chance, okay? Make sure that you write down the names in there, somebody. So Troublefields 1, I'm going to tear him apart. And then Unbelievable, of course, the troll that we see every day. And I don't know, Peters. I don't know if Peter's on that side as well. Yeah, left insults comment. It's all good. And then we'll let Justice for All, which, of course, is bullshit. That's not justice for all. But we'll let you guys call in, and I will take one of you, one at a time, and I will go ahead and destroy you. With a loving heart, of course, because I love you. But for now, I got to go take my son off to high school. So why don't we get started on the video? Oh, I'm going to have fun today. This is going to be a good Thursday. Woo! I actually got 4 hours of sleep last night. So you little lip tarts, you're about to get destroyed when I come back. Hey, everybody in the chat, Magic Man, what's going on? Everybody in the chat, may God bless you. Thank you for being here, man. Gulf of America. I know they love it. You know, the only problem with these leftist guys that are here is that they have no balls. And so because they have no balls, they have to throw insults to try to make themselves feel tougher. But they're just little cowards behind the little keyboard hiding back there. Oh, my goodness. All right, here we go. Let's go ahead and get our beautiful POTUS on here. And I think it gives me enough time to go drop my son off and come back. Yeah,
okay, thank you very much. It's a great honor. We have tremendous people behind me. You'll be hearing about that in a minute. Today is my honor to be discussing the taking of a very historic action to substantially lower costs for consumers, protect hundreds of thousands of jobs, and save Americans well over $2 billion a year by officially terminating the Biden administration's ridiculous regulations imposing costly requirements on refrigerators and air conditioners. It's and costly and actually makes the machinery worse. I want to thank EPA Administrator Lee Zeldin, Senators John Husted. John, thank you. I heard you're doing very well in your race, I hear. That's what the word is. And Ashley, I know you're doing very well also. Ashley Moody, Florida, great. As well as Representatives Stephanie Bice, Zach Nunn, and Craig Goldman. Thank you all. Thank you. Boss. Thank you all. Thank you. You look good. We're joined by Kroger CEO. That's a big one. Kroger, that's a big, I see those stores all over the place. Greg Foran. Where's Greg? Greg? Very good. You look like Central Casting. Just like you're supposed to look. Fairway Store CEO Reynolds Kramer.
Right here, Mr. President.
Okay. Hello, Reynolds.
Hello there.
Maybe I won't look around every time. Why Not Stop CEO and co-owner Ann Guthier. Ann?
Yeah.
Because it's Ann, I'm going to. Columbiana Foods co-owner Ron Graff Sr.
Right here. Right behind me.
Hello, Ron. Neiman Foods President Richard Neiman.
Right here, sir.
Hi, Richard. Piggy, well, that's a nice, Piggly Wiggly franchise owner. And that's a big company, too. It's actually a cute name. Kevin McDaniel. Where's Kevin? How is that name playing? Good?
Piggly Wiggly, doing great.
Piggly Wiggly. I've heard that, actually. That's great. Franchise owner, Kevin. So you met Kevin. And Food Fresh owner, Michael Gay.
Right
Food
here.
Fresh?
President.
Hi, Michael. How are you, Michael? And this is a representative group of very large-scale retailers. Under the Biden administration, the so-called technology transition rule, which was crazy, forced companies to adopt specific high-cost refrigerants, massively driving up the price of transporting and storing refrigerants and various goods. Many grocery stores and restaurants had no choice but to replace their refrigerators entirely. They went out of business, half of them. And these costs rose. Americans faced higher grocery prices and reduced access to critical medical supplies. It was a very catastrophic thing that they did. At the same time, this rule also drove up the cost of living by forcing consumers to purchase higher cost residential air conditioning units. They went up very substantially in cost, and also they were going to be obsolete very quickly. It created national security risk by adding additional hurdles to the already complicated process of manufacturing semiconductors. So it was a mess. Likewise, the so-called emissions rule imposed crippling leak repair requirements on virtually all existing large-scale refrigeration systems, hurting consumers and small businesses, making it almost impossible for many small businesses to even buy inferior equipment. And this is all across the country. The higher cost threatened thousands of jobs and was passed on in the form of higher prices and higher taxes. Today's reforms will deliver significant financial relief, saving American families and businesses more than $2.4 billion. Think of that, each year. Thanks to today's reforms, the American people have lower grocery prices, cheaper transportation of goods, lower costs of air conditioning, at no detriment at all to our country. Zero, including environmental detriment. My administration's historic deregulatory agenda has already saved our country an estimated $1.2 trillion. That's been done over a relatively short period of time. 1.2 trillion with a T. We're committed to fixing and really completely ending Biden's disastrous regulatory policies and delivering financial relief to each and every American, which is what we're doing. This was a tremendous burden, a tremendous cost. These people had to live with it, not only refrigerants, but a lot more. And it was making the equipment unaffordable. And the actual benefit was nothing. It just made it worse. It made life worse, and it made it worse, and it drove up costs tremendously. So now I'd like to ask Administrator Lee Zeldin, who's absolutely fantastic. He's doing an incredible job. We're proud of you, Lee. Really, the job you're doing is incredible. Followed by Greg, Kevin, and Michael. Is that okay? Lee, go ahead, please.
Well, thank you, Mr. President. As you know, many Americans were expressing a lot of frustration and anger of this rushed, frantic, reckless sprint by the Biden administration to phase out reliable equipment for grocery stores, for restaurants, and for homes. And the consequences, well, they've been devastating. And once again, the Trump administration is answering the call, which will lower the cost of living for hardworking American families. Now look at this chart to your far right. Today's actions are saving over $2.4 billion for American families. It's safeguarding 350,000 jobs. Just at supermarkets alone, we're going to see a savings of $800 million, which Americans will be able to see when they go and buy their food. The Biden EPA face planted when trying to jam through their restrictions. Americans who wanted to be able to fix their equipment were instead being required to buy far more costly new equipment, and that just doesn't make any sense. Refrigeration trucks were being handed impossible restrictions to meet. And once again, here we are in the Oval Office. President Trump is righting another wrong. At the Trump EPA, we are proudly implementing President Trump's agenda every single day and delivering for the American people.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Please.
Thank you, Mr. President, and thank you, Lee. Look, on behalf of the Kroger Company, and we operate about 2,700 supermarkets, an orderly transition of equipment reduces both capital costs and operating costs. And at the end of the day, that's good for consumers because we're able to take that and put that into lowering prices, which is the key objective that we have in our business. So thank you very much.
And you were able to save a lot of money and put it elsewhere by not having to do this ridiculous.
Exactly. So it allows us, instead of having to outlay more capital at a faster rate and more operating costs to change that equipment.
Or to replace a refrigerator that's working perfectly, right?
Yeah. So that allows us, you know, obviously these things have a lifespan, but an orderly transition allows us to move through that in a way which keeps the price of groceries down, and that's something that we're, you know, desperately focusing on, Mr. President.
Great. Thank you very much. Next.
My name's Kevin McDaniel. We operate 14 Piggly Wiggly stores in North Florida, Alabama, and Georgia. On behalf of NGA, the Piggly Wiggly family, which has about 250 stores in the Southeast, we want to thank President Trump for rolling this terrible Biden legislation back, because without it, there would have been a lot of independents out of business. And what people don't realize is it's just not a refrigerant change. It was a equipment change. And those equipment per store, you take a store, our stores run from 25 to 50,000 square feet. You could look for $800,000 to $1.5 million per store to do a change out. That would have done.
And the new equipment would not be as good as the old equipment.
No, absolutely not.
It would be inferior equipment because you weren't able to use a refrigerant.
It was thrown together too fast. The technology's not there yet. It's just way too fast. That's the problem. Good idea, but it's terrible. So you would have had all these independents go out of business. You'd had independents out of business, and you would have seen grocery prices soar. That's what would have happened if this would have went through. President Trump, thank you very much. On behalf of every independent in the United States, we cannot thank you enough for what you've done for us. Thank you so much.
I mean, just the bottom line is, so you have great equipment that works incredibly, takes care of your meats and foods and everything else, beautiful refrigeration systems. Take it out and replace it with stuff that barely works, costs a fortune, and it's no good. Think of it. and everyone's going to go bankrupt because the equipment is much more expensive on top of everything else. So the big thing now, we got to get rid of the law that was signed quite a while ago, and we have to get rid of that because ultimately we want to make it permanent. There's no negative impact by having a good system, but there's a tremendous impact. I think it's going to be bad because a lot of people said the other stuff doesn't cool your product.
No, probably.
It's so crazy. Please.
Michael Gay, I have a single store, Food Fresh, in Claxton, Georgia, and exactly, I mean, to echo everyone up here, these refrigeration costs, I'm the only store in a county of 10,000. I literally 2 years ago put in equipment that should have about 20 more years of useful life, and to replace literally every single piece of equipment in our store would have been unbelievably cost prohibitive, driving up costs as we fight every day to try to keep them as low as we can. And, you know, if that cost gets too high, especially attached to a regulation, do you have independent stores close in neighborhoods that once I go away, you've created a food desert? So it's very beneficial that this happened today. It's much more complicated than anyone thinks, and to try to rush this through was just the wrong way to go. So we're very appreciative of you today.
Thank you. I have one grocer who's a friend of mine. He's pretty big, and he said, I'm going to go ahead of the schedule, and he actually replaced a lot of his equipment. He called me up. He said, this crap doesn't work. It doesn't cool the food. So you know about that, right? What a shame. Okay, would anybody, Kevin, would you like to say something?
Yeah, I'd just like to say, sir, that this is part of your overall deregulatory agenda, and the big number, 1.2 trillion, is the savings so far, but we're going to be hitting that every year. And we're rolling back stuff that everywhere we look, there's stuff that's as awful as this. And I think that really one of the leaders has been Lee, because the EPA has been a holdup for so many years. But Lee is just out there saving Americans money. And right now, again, if you look at that number, it's $14,000 per family has been saved and reduced costs because of your deregulatory.
Do we agree that Lee is an MVP candidate? MVP. No, he's done a great job, and he sees what's good, and he's a big environmentalist. I mean, he wants to make sure everything is good, but he also sees stupid things like this. Senator, would you like to each speak to this?
Well, Mr. President, I'd like to thank you for this because this hits our goal of trying to keep prices low for working families in America, cost of food. I have the Graff family here right behind you. They operate 3 grocery stores in Columbiana County. They had already upgraded their refrigeration systems a few years ago. This was going to cost them millions of more dollars in Columbiana County, which is not an affluent county. It has a grocery store in East Liverpool, Ohio, which is the hometown of the late great Lou Holtz. And these people, not only would it raise food costs, but it might force them to shut a grocery store down so that the town didn't even have a grocery store. So you're saving money for working families and their grocery prices. You're also saving grocery stores so that we don't have food deserts in rural places across our country.
Yep.
Mr. President, I think it is so important that the people see what you choose to hang right by your desk, which is the Declaration of Independence, which is a reminder that government at its core is supposed to function in a way that allows people the opportunity to pursue happiness and not work against them by coming up with regulations that just make it harder to live, more expensive to live. And from day one, I remember standing with you with the same crew of folks. From day one, you have been digging into all of these regulations that are issued with no thought to how they affect real people and real small businesses and businesses trying to step up and provide jobs and lift up their communities. Thank you for that. Thank you for getting back to the core of what government is supposed to be, and that is working in the interests of the people.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Good job. Thank you, everybody. So any questions for us?
Thank you, Mr. President. How much do you expect that this will save the average American family every week on groceries? And do you expect this change to help with health
It's
insurance?
very, very substantial. We're going to be a big saving. We're breaking it down. In fact, numbers are coming out this afternoon sometime, but the average family will save a lot of money, and you're going to have stores. You know, nobody actually thought of it until it was mentioned this morning. You will have stores closing down in areas where they're not going to have a store anymore. That's right. And you really are being forced to spend money, much more money, on much more expensive equipment that really doesn't work. This friend of mine is a very savvy guy, and big league stuff, and he put some in because he wanted to see, and he said the stuff doesn't work. It doesn't cool the food properly. That's why they call the thing that we're talking about a refrigerant for a reason. It's a refrigerant. So that's it. Please, thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks, Mr. President Trump. Are there any assurances from the grocery chains that they'll pass these savings down to consumers?
Well, let's ask Kroger about that. Come on. That's a very good question. You have the biggest right here.
Yeah. We're actually right in the middle of doing that at the moment. So we're concerned about the cost of living. It makes a big difference when you get your pricing right, and we certainly are interested in ensuring that all our customers right across the country are paying the right price.
If it were the right thing to do, if it would be, bad for the environment, what they had, I'm all for it. I'm all for that stuff. But when you're forced to put in very inferior equipment that's not going to work, you're going to be wasting a lot of food product because it doesn't cool the food properly. And it's actually a bad thing, and the bad thing is more expensive than what they already have. And in many cases, they just put it in. They just put in the other apparatus, and a lot of people have said they've spent money recently to do it, and then this rule came up out of nowhere, and the stuff they just put in, they have to change. I'd be all for changing if it was good, even if it was a little bit good. But this is actually bad.
Yeah, you don't have any environmental concerns, though, with this?
No, there is no environmental concern. And Lee covered that really well. There's no environmental concern. It's not going to have any impact on the environment.
Mr. President, with many Americans concerned about affordability ahead of the midterms, there is some backlash among the Senate Republicans to some of the other priorities, the ballroom and the anti-weaponization fund. You clearly still have a strong hold on the Republican Party. Your candidates did very well this week during the primaries. But are you losing control
My
of the Senate?
candidates did well. Not all candidates did well.
But are you losing control of the Senate, sir? Are you losing control of the Senate, Senate Republicans?
I don't know. I really don't know. I can tell you, I only do what's right. I don't need money for the ballroom. I'm making a gift of the ballroom. This is the biggest misreporting that I've ever seen. The ballroom is being built. It'll cost. It was going to be $200 million. I've doubled the size of it because we need it, and it's being done in conjunction with the military and with the very much in conjunction with the military and Secret Service. We're on time, on budget. It's going beautifully. I have all the money I need. We're making a gift to the United States. They came along and they said we want to make it the White House overall more secure, and I understand that. Not for me, because I'll be gone. I'll be gone, and you'll have somebody else in for hopefully hundreds of years. But that's what they're doing it for. The ballroom is paid for. It's a gift. I mean, I want to make it clear because so many people say, I thought you were giving this away, and all of a sudden, the money that they're spending is for security, having to do maybe around the ballroom and other parts of the house. But this is not for the ballroom. The ballroom is being a tremendous amount of what's being done with respect to the ballroom is for national security, including, as an example, a drone port on top of which was top secret until litigation made it less than top secret. But we have a drone port. We have the glass that's 4 inches thick, bulletproof glass. We have bulletproof walls. We have things. You need a place like this. But this is being made as a gift from me and other people that are great patriots that spend a lot of money. We're building what will be the finest ballroom anywhere in the world. If they want to spend money on securing the White House, I think it would be very, very much a good expenditure. But the ballroom is being built.
Well, what if Congress doesn't sign off on the security money, sir?
Then the White House won't be a very secure place.
But, and then regarding Cuba, there was an aircraft carrier that just arrived there this week, a Nimitz aircraft carrier. Are you sending that there to intimidate the Cuban government?
No, not at all. Cuba, look, it's a failed country. Everybody knows it. They don't have electricity. They don't have money. They don't have really anything. They don't have food. And we're going to help them along, and we're going to help them because number one, I want to help them. On a humanitarian basis, but we have the Cuban American population, much of it living in Miami and Florida. That's a great group of people, amazing group of people, industrious, they're great Americans. They've wanted this to happen. They want to go back to their country. They want to help their country. I hope they're going to stay here, but they want to go back. They want to invest in their country and, you know, see if they can bring it back. Other presidents have looked at this for 50, 60 years doing something, and it looks like I'll be the one that does it, so would be happy to do it. We want to open it up to Cuban Americans where they can go back and help.
The GNC released a report this morning, their report on the last election on why you won and Democrats lost. One thing that it mentions is how they failed to reach Middle America, Southern Americans. Do you think they've learned lessons from that election, and have you seen that report?
I think the elections are so rigged, and we have to do something about it, and we're going to do something about it. But we cannot continue to have, and frankly, the Senate and the House, they ought to get together and they ought to pass the Save America Act so that you have voter ID, and it's so important you have proof of citizenship, little thing like proof of citizenship, and also mail-in voting, which is so crooked. So in Maryland, as you probably saw, they had 500,000 mail-in votes that were corrupt. They were corrupt. They said the printer made a mistake. Don't believe that. And they got caught with 500,000 mail-in ballots that were corrupt. We've got to stop it. We have a country that has a very corrupt, we have more corrupt elections than third world countries have. And we ought to get smart. Pass the Save America Act. That'll be a long way. You have voter ID, voter identification. The Democrats don't want to pass. Now, I'll tell you what, the Democrat voters do want to pass, 87%. But the Democrat politicians don't want to pass. And the reason is they'd never be elected again. Because with their policy of open borders, transgender for everyone, I call it transgender mutilization of your children for everybody, men playing in women's sports, all of the stuff that they do, high taxes. They want a tax hike. They voted in favor of high taxes. They voted against a tax cut. They voted in favor of men playing in women's sports. I don't know what these people are thinking. The only way they can win is to cheat, and that's what they want to do. And we ought to pass the Save America Act. Yeah, please.
Yes, Mr. President. I have two questions for you. One of them, which you love. First about the ballroom, and the second about Iran. First, I'm curious, what is the stone that you're going to be using? And I ask that for a reason, because I live in Stafford County, and you know a lot about history and stuff like that. So you know the stone that was quarried for the Capitol and the White House is from Stafford County. They still have quarries, so down there. Just curious.
Marbles and granite.
Okay.
Mostly marbles and granite.
All right, excellent. And then my second question is, the Vice President mentioned the other day there would be accommodations, they were willing to make accommodations with the Iranian deal. Could you kind of expand on those possible accommodations? Does that include...
When you say combination of what?
Accommodations, he's talking about accommodations as far as making the deal going. Would that include the proxies?
Right now we're negotiating, and we'll see. But either we're going to get it one way or the other. They're not going to have a nuclear weapon. You know, when people hear it, because oftentimes they won't put up the second part of the sentence having to do with, I'll say, this is more important than anything that we have to talk about. And usually they'll cut it off, the fake news. I say, because this is the nuclearization of a country that some people would say is somewhat crazy, and we cannot let Iran have a nuclear weapon. That's all it is. We can't let it. You will have a nuclear war in the Middle East, and that war will come here. That war will go to Europe. We cannot let that happen, and it won't happen. It's not going to happen. That's more important than anything else. We can't. I can think of nothing that's more important than the fact that we cannot let Iran have a nuclear weapon, and we won't. Yeah, Jeff?
Following up on that, sir, Iran is negotiating with Oman to set up a formalization of charging tolls in the Strait of Hormuz. Is that acceptable to you?
Well, we're looking at it. We hear about it. They've negotiated. They've had a relationship with them before, and we'll see. We have total control of the Strait of Hormuz, as you know, with our blockade. The blockade's been 100% effective. Nobody's been able to get through. It's like a steel wall. It's our Navy. We have the greatest military anywhere in the world. We wiped out their Navy. We not wiped out their air. I think they're down to about, I would say we knocked out 85% of their missile capacity. It's very hard for them now to build missiles, to build drones. We have great drone technology, anti-drone technology now that frankly we didn't have even 2 months ago. We have unbelievable drone technology, both for making them and also for knocking them down. But look, we're going to either make sure they don't have a nuclear weapon, or we're going to have to do something very drastic. And the people of the country, I believe when it's put to the people of our country, they will all agree that we cannot let Iran have a nuclear
How
weapon.
do you want
Yes.
things to end up?
Daniel?
Just one follow-up on that. How do you want things to end up with the Strait of Hormuz, though? Would you like them to have
Well, we
control
want it
of that?
open. We want it free. We don't want tolls. It's international. It's an international waterway. They're not charging tolls. Right now, they are losing $500 million a day is what it's projected. I don't know, it sounds like a lot of money, but whether it's 500 or 200 or 300, they're losing a lot of money. There hasn't been a ship that's been able to get through without our approval. And the Navy has done an amazing job. And no ship is going to Iran, as you know. No ship is going to, or out of Iran without our approval.
Can they keep their highly enriched uranium?
No, we get the highly enriched. We will get it. We don't need it. We don't want it. We'll probably destroy it after we get it, but we're not going to let them have it. Okay?
Mr. President, I have two questions. First on deregulation, the second on the Supreme Court. You, coming from business, you've seen the effects of what unnecessary red tape can do to business. Do you believe that given the amount of deregulatory actions taken along with this, going back to endangerment finding, CAFE standards, tax cuts and tariffs, do you believe that you've made the United States the most pro-business, pro-investment country in the world?
Yeah, thank you very much for that question, because we are, for every one new regulation that we add, we're getting rid of 20 to 30 to 40, and now it's actually at an even number. In my first term, for every regulation that was added, we got rid of a minimum of 10. And I understand, Lee, that it's up to 43 or 44 right now. So if we add a regulation, we get rid of 43, 44. We're making it a much more pro-business, pro-people. You know, regulations are very costly for the people. They're bad for everybody. They're bad for jobs, bad for everything. And we have, as of today, we have more people working in the United States than at any time in the history of our country. To me, it's one of my favorite stats. But we have more people today working in the United States than at any time in the history. And this is with the Iran conflict. That'll end soon, very soon. And when it ends, your gasoline prices will go down lower than they were before. You know, I left Iowa a few months ago, and gasoline was at $1.85 a gallon. That's right. And we'll be hitting numbers like that again.
Mr. President, on the Supreme Court,
We'll be hitting them in a much nicer way, by the way. We will be hitting them, and we will have a country that will not have a nuclear weapon. Yeah, David?
So
what has today's executive?
On the Supreme Court, sir, we're still waiting for the decision on birthright citizenship. You attended the oral arguments of that. Can you just explain what's at stake with that decision, sir?
It's a big decision that we're waiting for from the Supreme Court. We had a terrible tariff decision. They cost our country a fortune. They said do it a different way. We're doing it a different way, but we're going to most likely have to pay back $149 billion. All they had to do is put a little sentence in there, half a sentence, saying that any monies paid don't have to be paid back. You know, you're talking about the people in many cases that hate our country. Give them back money. It was a terrible decision. And it's not going to affect because we do the tariffs a different way. The tariffs are what's bringing in all of this money. It's really made our country rich, modernly rich. Now we have another one coming up, which is birthright citizenship. And we're the only country in the world that has it. You step into our country and you're all of a sudden a citizen. You come in a certain way. This was not meant for Chinese billionaires to have their children become citizens of our country. This was meant, or other rich people, poor people. This was meant for the babies of slaves. This was signed right after the Civil War. You look at the dates alone, immediately after. This was having to do with the babies of slaves. And people have used it. And if this is allowed to stand, it will be a disaster economically for our country. And you'll have 25% of the people coming into our country coming in through birthright citizenship. And we won't have any control. This decision by the Supreme Court is a very big one. They'll probably rule against me because they seem to like doing that. You know, frankly, I'm not happy with some of the decisions. Look at NIL. Look what they've done. Look what the courts have done to college sports. They're destroying college sports. They're destroying universities. but birthright citizens a big deal. And literally, if that's allowed to stand, and again, this was a civil war. This was right after the Civil War, and it has to do with the babies of slaves. It doesn't have to do with the babies of very rich people coming into the country. One of them came in with 57 children, okay, 57 children. They're using the system, and it's usually people that hate our country, if you want to know the truth. Birthright citizen is done by no other country in the world the way we're doing it. We're a laughing stock. And if the Supreme Court approves that decision, they have done a great disservice to the United States of America, just like they did a great disservice by costing us $149 billion on tariffs by saying do it a different way. Get the same result, do it a different way. We should have won that decision. We had a very strong, very powerful dissent. We had 3 dissents. So it wasn't like a unanimous decision by any means. We had very powerful dissents. When you read that dissent, people that read that dissent say, you really should have won this case. We should have won that case on tariffs. That case cost our country $149 million. It goes to people that hate our country. So now we have another one coming up, birthright citizenship. It would be a disgrace. It would be a disgrace if the Supreme Court of the United States allows that to happen. Remember what I said, 20 to 25% of the people coming into our country will come in through birthright citizenship. They'll become citizens through birthright citizenship, and it'll cost us numbers that are, I don't even think they're doable. And it's all up to a couple of people, and I hope they do what's right. Birthright citizenship is a disgrace. The fact that, look at the people that are bringing the suit. Study the people that are bringing the suit. These are not people that love our country, I can tell you that.
Mr. President, why has today's executive order on AI been postponed?
Because I didn't like certain aspects of it. I postponed it. I think it gets in the way of, we're leading China, we're leading everybody, and I don't want to do anything that's going to get in the way of that lead. We have a very substantial on AI. It's causing tremendous good, and it's also bringing in a lot of jobs, tremendous numbers of jobs. Again, we have more people working right now than we've ever had. I really thought that could have been a blocker, and I want to make sure that it's not.
Mr. President, with President Xi last week, did you discuss AI safeguards?
Who, what?
In China last week with President Xi,
Yes.
Did you discuss AI
I did.
safeguards?
I discussed it. And he acknowledges how well we're doing. We're doing well. He's doing it. It's the two of us. The 2 countries are fighting for it. Other countries are way behind, way behind. They're fighting for it. They want it. Everybody wants it, but they're way behind. But I didn't want to do it. I postponed that meeting. It was a press conference. It was a signing, actually, because I didn't like what I was seeing.
Mr. President, a few moments ago, the Commission of Fine Arts approved your design, the design for your arch. Do you think you need congressional approval for it?
I finally get good news from them.
Do you think you need
What was the
congressional
vote? Do you know what the
approval
vote
for it,
was? What was the vote?
I'm just seeing the headline here. I don't have the exact vote. but-
So we're building what's called the Triumphal Arch right opposite the Arlington Memorial Bridge, right by Arlington Cemetery. It's beautiful. It's the Arc de Triomphe would be the one that you would probably know in Paris. It's one of the most beautiful. It's a very similar size, slightly larger. We have to do slightly larger. It doesn't have to be a lot larger. Otherwise, you'd all be disappointed in me. But it's even far more beautiful. And I think that the Arc de Triomphe is beautiful. It's a couple of 100 years old, but I think it's beautiful. And some arcs go back over 1,000 years. And it's called a triumphal arch. It's usually done for victories in war and things. There are 59 of them in the world. And some are really beautiful. And we're the only major, Washington, D.C., which should be number 1. And we're the only important and major city that doesn't have one. We don't have a triumphal arch. So it was meant to be built for many years. The circle going up to the bridge, people pass that circle, they say, why isn't something built here? And so that's very good. We just got approval from Fine Arts. That's fantastic.
Right, but you need Congress to sign off on it.
No, we don't. No, we're doing it. It's the land is owned by the Interior Department. We don't need anything from Congress.
Are you attending your son's wedding this weekend, by the way?
He'd like me to go, but it's going to be just a small little private affair, and I'm going to try and make it. I'm in the midst. I said, you know, this is not good timing for me. I have a thing called Iran and other things. That's one I can't win on. If I do attend, I get killed. If I don't attend, I get killed. By the fake news, of course, I'm talking about. No, but he's got a very, a person who I've known for a long time, and hopefully they're going to have a great marriage.
Mr. President, to add to the art, I just actually passed by it on my way here, saw that the pink flags, and there's just geese that are there all the time. So that's perfect. How long will that take? And also, I have to say, I have to pass along something for my mother, who she drove in with me. She was amazed by all the people she was seeing on the streets here in DC. She doesn't get in here as much.
DC's hot again.
She was noticing how clean and beautiful it was, so I'm passing it along.
That's right. Well, that's the way I do. Clean. You take a look outside. We had broken path. It was so terrible coming into the White House. It was slate. Slate's a roofing material. It's not a walking material. But the slate was all broken and chipped and terrible. And I put down a new granite floor and paid for it myself, by the way. But I put down a nice new granite floor. It looks beautiful. It's actually getting rave reviews. It's beautiful. It's a terrible having people walking up to the White House and they're walking over broken tiles and broken floors. So now we just finished. It's going to be finished when the moldings are put on. But you might take a look at it. I don't know if you've seen it, but it's beautiful.
It's very beautiful.
Of other things we're doing while you're at it, we have 31 fountains in Washington. Of the 31, not one worked. Now we have 21 working, and the others are going to be fixed. And people are calling and saying, it's amazing what's happened, the fountains. And they're working top level. And my most exciting is the reflecting pool between the Washington Monument and the Washington Monument Lincoln Memorial. It's 2,500 feet long by almost 200 feet wide. It's a massive structure, if you think of it. It's taller than the tallest building in the world. If you sat the building down, the tallest building in the world would not reach the end of it. It's a very big thing. It hasn't worked properly since it was built in 1922. President Obama and Biden spent hundreds of millions of dollars trying to fix it. They didn't. Of course, they couldn't do that. They didn't fix it. It was a mess. So mostly they turned it off, collecting garbage. It looked horrible. And we are very close to getting it finished. And when it's finished, it'll be beautiful. It'll be blue water, dark blue. We call it American flag blue because that's the name of the color that we chose. American flag blue. Can't do better than that. It's a rich, dark blue. And it'll be, I think, very reflective, very, very good. Big project. I decided to do a much bigger job. I was going to just get it open. But I said, let's do it right. Let's get it open and let's have it be good. Because President Obama, President Biden spent hundreds of millions of dollars, much more than 100 million, but hundreds of millions. It never worked. In fact, when they finished it, it was much worse than it was before. It leaked at a higher level. They would have to fill it up every single day with water. The whole thing was ridiculous. So they ended up turning it off. And it became like a garbage dump. Well, it's pretty close to finished. So they had estimates of $350 million to fix it. I'll be doing it for a tiny fraction of that. A bigger job than I originally thought I'd do it for $2 or $3 million, just do a base. But now we're fixing up the exterior of it. So we'll probably be in it for less than $20 million. And the estimate was going to be using a different method, 350. It was going to take 4 years, 350 million. I'll be doing it in basically a couple of months for less than $20 million. That includes all of the exterior base, which I never included in my original numbers. When I went there last week, I saw the exterior was in very bad shape, as well as the interior, so I said, we're going to fix that too. The stone. It's going to be beautiful. When that's done, you might see it. It's probably 3/4 done. We have rain delays. We get a lot of delays, but that will be something special. The reflecting pool in front of the Lincoln and Washington monuments. I think it's going to be incredible. It's largely done. If you want to go see it, you can see it before we put the water in. The key is to have it done before July 4th. We want to see if we can have it done before July 4th. But we have about 20 or 21 of the water features in Washington open. And I can say, we top of the line, they look better than they did the day they were built. Some of them have been closed for 25, 30 years. There's been no water for 25 or 30 years. And they're really beautiful. Some of the fountains are as beautiful as I've ever seen. And you probably see them. And in addition to that, you brought up something. Washington, D.C. is now a safe city. We had a city that was one of the most unsafe cities anywhere in the country, and now it's considered a very safe city. Restaurants are opening. Restaurants were closing. You couldn't go to a restaurant. The restaurants were closing all over because of the danger from during the Biden administration. Now you have restaurants opening. It's thriving, and it was very nice that you said that. I like this reporter. I have to tell you. No, it's nice. We have a vibrant city again. People are going out. I have a lot of people in the White House. Every time I see somebody, they thank me, and I know immediately what. They thank me for making the city safe. They walk to work now. Before that, they'd take Uber or something, and they felt unsafe even in Uber. You know, we moved over 5,000 people out of the city, career criminals that came in through the open borders and other reasons. And we moved over 5,000. And an interesting statistic is that 2% of the population creates 91% of the crime. And the reason I like that is that you can handle 2% of the population. Mr. Kroger, I see you have stores in Washington? You see a big difference?
We do.
Well, you said the right thing. Could you imagine? That would have been the end of Kroger. All right, okay, we'll do one or two more. Please.
Do you think Democrats are genuine in their focus on affordability, especially after they delivered 40-year high inflation last time they were in power? And then, or do you think they're using it or focusing on it as a means to try and win midterms and begin the impeachment process?
Look, the Democrats had the highest inflation in the history of our country. 48 years, they say, but the history of our country. They had the highest inflation that we've ever had. When I inherited it, I inherited very high prices. And from day one, they said, affordability. Affordability is the word, because they're good at that. They're good at words, but I'm good at words too. But they hit me with affordability. I'd just gotten there. They hit me with eggs. We had a news conference on my third day, and they said, egg prices are through the roof. I said, I just got here. Tell me about eggs. And we got the prices down, way down, actually lower than it was 4 years before. But we've gotten everything. The thing that we have now, the only thing that's really of great concern, two things. Beef is coming down, and the reason is they put restrictions on beef under the Biden administration, and it takes a while to settle that, but prices are down. But the big thing is, of course, energy. We had the energy way down, but I had to do a journey to Iran. I had to say, you know, we just hit the best markets. By the way, the stock market today is at the highest it's ever been, and we've had 59 of them, 59 days out of a very short period of time where the stock market hit all-time highs. So we have an all-time high stock market. We have all-time high job numbers. We have 401ks just hit the highest number they've ever been. So many of you have 401ks. That means you're richer than you've ever been. And we're doing really well. But they came up with this word, affordability. But it's them that caused the problem. And they used that word, Senator, they used that word right from the beginning. I was in one day, and I heard somebody on television say, affordability. And I inherited this mess from them. But we've got it in great shape. The country's doing well. We're respected all over the world. This country is respected. We're the hottest country. We were a dead country 2 years ago, and now we're the hottest country anywhere in the world. So I think most of you appreciate that. Some of you don't. Yeah, please.
Terry Pickett, Washington Times. If the Supreme Court doesn't rule in your favor on birthright citizenship, are there any other avenues that your administration has explored to remedy this? And did you talk with President Xi about Chinese foreign nationals taking advantage of birth tourism here in this country and how they could have?
Well, that's a great question. No, if the Supreme Court hurts our country by ruling against us on birthright citizenship, that would be just between that and tariffs, what damage they've done, what damage they've done. Again, they could have said, which they said, do the tariffs a different way. But they could have said the money taken in, hundreds of billions of dollars, $149 billion we have to pay back. Kevin understands that better than anybody. All they had to do is say, any money taken in, because they agree you could do it a different way. Any money, this is a better way. But the other way is a very secure way. And maybe in many ways it's a stronger way. They could have said, any money taken in thus far does not have to be paid back to, in many cases, the enemy, people that don't like our country. Or it was a half a sentence. The Supreme Court could have saved us $149 billion with a half a sentence. But they chose not to do that. Now they have a ruling which is a much bigger ruling, actually, birthright citizenship. The cost, forgetting about the fact that it's wrong, the cost of birthright citizenship is barely not affordable by our country. It's going to cost hundreds of billions of dollars. And it's in their hands. What can I tell you? It's a common sense ruling. It's common sense. It was exact timing. And it's about the babies of slaves. Thank you for that question.
Thank you, Mr. President. So do you think if Democrats were to take control of Congress again, they would immediately begin the impeachment process?
I think if Democrats took control of the Congress, I think that, and let's say took control of the country, I think that this country's finished. These people are sick. They suffer from Trump derangement syndrome, but really they have bad policy. They have horrible policy. They cheat on elections. They get elected by cheating on elections. But you would have 2 states added. They'll terminate the filibuster immediately. Republicans should do that. They'll terminate the filibuster. You'll have Washington, D.C., and you'll have Puerto Rico as a state, which will be a disaster, which would be 4 Senate seats, tremendous numbers of electoral college votes. You will have that's really bad, but you will have the destruction of our country. They want to go to 21 Supreme Court judges. That's their perfect number. They talk about 13, but they want to go to 21 Supreme Court judges. If they get in power, I think this country would be maybe finished. If I didn't win the election, I'll say this, we've become the hottest country anywhere in the world. We were a dead country 2 years ago. If I didn't win this election, we would have been a country that was essentially, I don't even know that we would have been a country any longer. They were destroying our country. They were letting hundreds of thousands, millions of people pour through our southern border, criminals, people from jails, people from mental institutions, drug dealers and drug addicts. They were sending everybody, countries were sending everybody that they didn't want by the millions, 25 million people. If I didn't win this election, I believe our country would have been finished. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Press.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, press. Now get the hell out of here. That's what I'm hearing. All right, you guys say that you want proof that Democrats cheated on the election. We got over 300,000 ballots that were illegally placed in Michigan. We got 500,000 that we just heard about not too long ago. We have dead people voting for Democrats on elections. That's not a coincidence. I received 2 ballots to vote for Democrats this year because, yes, I was registered Democrat and I didn't register Republican. So I got 2 ballots to vote in. I got ballots from people that have lived in this address like 20, 30 years ago, and I'm still getting these Democratic ballots in my house. We have received hundreds and hundreds of ballots that were found thrown away from all Republican voters. Isn't that interesting? Now, you people still want to believe that the Democrats are not cheaters. Well, you know what? They continue to lie, cheat, and steal. We have multiple reports of Democrats defending criminals every single day. So I don't understand why there's, he's going to be hidden from my channel. He's never going to come back here. Don't worry about that. Real Fishy for Life, I see you, bro. How are you? Good to see you here. You know, if you libtards want to live in denial, you are 100% Egyptians, because we like to know the truth. We do our research. You guys need to do your research if you're going to say something against it. The waterman, that is irrelevant. Why would you even bring that up? We're not talking about Honduras. Chicken, back out to timeout. Get the hell out of here. I will allow you guys to go ahead and call very briefly, because I do want to get to the live from Attorney General Blanche. Matter of fact, we might just go and do that. Did it even happen? That was pretty quick. Doesn't look like much happened there. Let's take a look. Let's take a look and see what happened here. That doesn't look like much. And then I'll go ahead and continue. And we can open up the lines and see if any of these libtards have something smart to say. These people suck with their camera and video equipment. You would think they have professionals doing this sort of work. Let me try to fast forward a little bit. Did this even take place? I don't think they... There it is.
Good morning to you all. My name is Colin McDonald, Assistant Attorney General for the National Fraud Enforcement Division at the Department of Justice. I am joined today by a lineup of committed public servants who are devoted to protecting the financial security of America. Today, we are announcing criminal charges against 15 defendants in Minnesota for fraud schemes that targeted over $90 million in taxpayer dollars. Let me be clear up front about something. This is not the end of our work in Minnesota. This is not the end of the beginning of our work in Minnesota. This is the beginning of our work in Minnesota. The fraud here in Minnesota is shocking. Our cases today involve 7 different state-managed Medicaid programs that have been systematically pilfered by fraudsters who treated Minnesota-run programs as their personal piggy bank. One of the programs has been completely shut down because there's no money left. It's all gone. That was Minnesota's state-run Housing Stabilization Services Program, designed to help the homeless find and maintain housing. It was estimated in 2020 that it would cost only about $2.5 million a year to fund this program, but it ended up costing almost 50 times that much, over $104 million by 2024 due to fraud. And because of all the fraud, Minnesota had to shut the program down in 2025, and now these services no longer exist for these vulnerable homeless populations. The same trends exist for other Minnesota-run taxpayer-funded programs. An autism program that cost the taxpayer $600,000 just 6 years ago skyrocketed to over $400 million. And to be sure, that number is not driven by supply and demand. It is not driven by health care or charity. It is fraud. To tackle this crisis, and it is a crisis in Minnesota, earlier this year, the Department of Justice surged 11 strike force prosecutors from across the country to be here on the ground fighting the rampant fraud targeting our taxpayer-funded programs. And large numbers of agents from our partners at the FBI, HHS-OIG, HSI, IRS-CI, and others joined our prosecutors to rapidly unmask fraudulent actors in Minnesota. These agents and prosecutors have been working around the clock to root out the criminals stealing taxpayer dollars, and I am proud of all they accomplished in such a short time. Their hard work made today possible. Make no mistake, today's charges are unprecedented. They include the highest loss amount ever charged in a Medicaid case in Minnesota, and the largest autism fraud scheme ever charged by the Department of Justice. The common theme throughout these cases is fraudsters exploiting vulnerable programs and vulnerable people to enrich themselves, no matter the consequences to the programs or to the people. For example, one defendant is charged with defrauding the Integrated Community Supports Medicaid program. This program is designed to help individuals with disabilities live independently. One patient was supposed to be receiving 24-hour care through this program, but he was actually being serviced by a fraudster and received no services. This patient was later found dead. Meanwhile, the architect of this fraud scheme was billing Medicaid as if he was providing care to this patient. The defendant even submitted a claim of over $400 for services he never provided the day before this man died. In another example, 2 defendants have been charged for defrauding a program designed to offer medical services to those with autism spectrum disorder. As alleged, the defendants paid kickbacks to parents who brought their children to autism centers, diagnosed children with autism regardless of medical necessity, and billed for autism services that were never actually provided. In one final example, 2 defendants have been charged in an over $22 million fraud scheme involving the Individualized Home Supports Program. This program was meant to support disabled individuals who wanted to live in their own homes. Instead, these disabled individuals were used like lottery tickets by these defendants to generate millions of dollars, which these defendants used to expand their real estate holdings, purchase luxury vehicles, and splurge on expensive jewelry. We will not, full stop, tolerate this greed and deceit. We will not let fraudsters bankrupt Medicare and Medicaid the same way that they bankrupted the Housing Stabilization Services Program. As mentioned, this is just the beginning. With the support of President Trump, Vice President Vance, Acting Attorney General Blanche, Chairman Ferguson and the White House Anti-Fraud Task Force, Secretary Kennedy, Dr. Oz and his team, and the entire federal fraud-fighting apparatus, the Department of Justice will continue expanding our reach across the country to pursue all fraud, no matter how large, no matter how small, no matter how hard. Since April 1st, DOJ's Fraud Division has announced over 450 fraud enforcement actions nationwide, representing billions of taxpayer dollars. And this week already, we're delivering results coast to coast with a trial conviction in Brooklyn involving a $40 million drug distribution and fraud scheme, and a trial conviction in Los Angeles involving a $40 million Botox injection fraud scheme. To expand our reach, we are announcing today the expansion of the healthcare fraud Midwest Strike Force to Minnesota, and the hiring of 15 additional prosecutors dedicated to combating Medicaid fraud nationwide. These additional resources will ensure that the DOJ's Fraud Division will be better equipped to stop fraud and hold criminals accountable. My message to the Minnesota community and to all of America is this: if you see something that seems too good to be true, tell us. In some areas, such as in the daycare prosecutions we announced today, a culture of fraud has taken root, where child care centers even offer kickbacks to parents to enroll their children. If something sounds good to be true, it is. Do the right thing, speak out, help us win the fight against fraud. And now my message to the fraudsters is this: eat, drink, and be merry today, because your days of frolicking and freedom are numbered. We are doing everything we can to find you, And when we do, we will prosecute you, and we will claw back every dollar you have stolen from the American people. We will not rest until every fraudster knows that the cost of stealing from the American people is far higher than any scheme is worth. Thank you all for being here. I'll now turn the podium over to Secretary Kennedy.
Thank you, Colin. Hey, everybody. I want to start. I thought I was going to have a slide here. I want to call your attention to this, which is in your. Okay, here it is. Which is in your packet. This was the cost of the Early Intervention and Development Program in 2020. It was $38.1 million. This is what we expected to be paying every year. Instead, this year it hit $442 million. And that is, I'm showing you that because that's the magnitude of the fraud and the damage that we're talking about today. And I want to thank Todd Blanche, who couldn't be here today, Colin McDonald, and everyone at the Department of Justice for leading this effort. I want to thank also the FBI, who you're going to hear from in a little while, the HHS Office of Inspector General, CMS, and especially Dr. Oz, the White House Anti-Fraud Task Force, and Vice President Vance, and the investigators and law enforcement personnel whose relentless work made today's action possible. Today's arrests represent the largest autism fraud bust in American history. This was not a paperwork error. It was not a technical violation. This was organized threat, organized theft that exploited the most vulnerable children in America, deceived families, stole taxpayer dollars meant to help children with autism access legitimate care and support. Investigators uncovered brazen schemes that billed taxpayers for non-existent services, fraudulent diagnoses, and fake care, while criminals enrich themselves at public expense. Every fraudulent autism diagnosis steals time, care, and resources from the children for whom this program was denied and who desperately need this care. Families with autistic children already face enormous challenges navigating therapies, specialists, and support systems. Fraud makes those barriers even steeper. America is facing a real autism crisis. Today, approximately 1 in every 31 children is diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder. Medicaid finances a significant share of autism-related services nationwide, and spending has risen dramatically over the last decade, and a lot of that spending is because of fraud. When criminals exploit these programs, taxpayers lose billions, and vulnerable children lose their access to care. Healthcare fraud now costs the United States tens of billions of dollars every year. Some estimates place the broader cost of healthcare fraud and improper payments at $100 billion annually. That fraud drives up healthcare costs for all Americans. It weakens public trust. It drains taxpayer resources and threatens the long-term stability of both Medicaid and Medicare. If we fail to confront the fraud aggressively, these programs will not survive for future generations in the form Americans rely upon them today. Under the leadership of President Trump and Vice President Vance, this administration is carrying out the most aggressive anti-fraud effort in American history. And I want to be clear, this is an extraordinary bust today, because these kind of operations usually take many years, sometimes a decade. This was executed with a precision and speed that is unprecedented in the history of law enforcement. And it's unprecedented now, but under Vice President Vance's leadership and President Trump's direction, we are going to normalize this speed. We're restoring accountability, strengthening oversight, prosecuting criminal networks, and protecting the integrity of our public health systems. We will not allow criminals to treat children as billing opportunities while American taxpayers foot the bill. This administration will continue rooting out fraud because every stolen dollar is a dollar taken from a child, a parent, a senior of a family who desperately needs help. We're going to protect these programs and protect vulnerable children and restore integrity to American healthcare system. And now I want to introduce the United States Attorney Rosen.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary, and my thanks, where did he go, to Colin McDonald, who has led the Department of Justice's national fraud prosecution effort with a tenacity and an effectiveness that is really inspiring to all of us who are on the team. Here in Minnesota, we have the unfortunate distinction of bringing to being the place that brought to national attention the fraud committed against governments across the United States, governments that turned the other way either deliberately or negligently while it was happening under their noses. The numbers that we have here in Minnesota are enormous, but I'm happy to tell you that we have more prosecutors prosecuting fraud, more law enforcement resources investigating the fraud, and we are identifying and investigating and prosecuting fraud at a pace that is unprecedented here in this state. I am happy to report to you all, although I imagine many of you know that just a short time ago this morning, Amy Bach, cornerstone operator in the Feeding Our Future fraud, was sentenced by Judge Brazel to 500 months in prison. That's 41.6 years. While Feeding Our Future, while that fraud in and of itself was breathtaking, the truth is Feeding Our Future is only a start, and we believe it's only a small fraction of the fraud that is actually ongoing here in the state of Minnesota. And I can say so, Secretary Kennedy and Dr. Oz, it's my pledge to you that we're going to do our best to deter future thefts from your department and from your agency, to recover as much of the losses as we possibly can, and to put the thieves here in Minnesota into prison. And with that, I give you Chairman Ferguson.
Good afternoon. When President Trump said he wanted an all-of-government approach to fighting fraud, he meant it. He wants us to stop fraud by preventing money from going out the door, and he wants fraudsters swiftly brought to justice. And that's why he created the Anti-Fraud Task Force and put Vice President Vance in charge of it, to coordinate both arms of the anti-fraud campaign. Today is about bringing justice to the fraudsters at an unprecedented pace, and the whole country owes tremendous gratitude to the Acting Attorney General, to Assistant Attorney General Colin McDonald, to the U.S. Attorney Rosen, to the Deputy FBI Director Herrera for today's indictments, and also to the Healthcare Fraud Strike Force that was sent here in Minnesota. And I just want to reiterate what was said earlier, having met some of the prosecutors today. The work done at the speed at which it was done is unprecedented, and because of Attorney General Blanche and Colin McDonald, this is going to become the new norm for American fraud prosecutions. We saw last week an example of keeping money in the agency thanks to Administrator Oz and Kim Brandt. The task force helped keep billions of dollars in HHS rather than going out the door to fund fraud. And this week, the other arm of the pincher becomes apparent, with fraudsters who took money from the American people getting their just desserts. That is all about restoring deterrence. And restoring deterrence is important for two reasons. First, this is how we have to save these programs. Fraud is going to bleed our social programs dry. All of these programs are made possible by the most generous country in the world and the most generous people in the world, Americans, turning over trillions of their hard-earned dollars to fund social programs to help their families, their friends, and their neighbors through hard times. If fraudsters get to siphon off that money and put it into their own pockets, these programs, like Secretary Kennedy just said, will not survive in the form to which we are all accustomed. And Americans who've paid in, expecting these programs to be around in the future, will have doubts about whether they will be. So stopping fraud is how we save these programs. And no matter what your party identity is, that has to be one of our goals, saving programs by stopping fraud. The second reason that deterrence is so important is that all of our programs are built for a high trust society. We didn't set up these programs with layers and layers and layers of anti-fraud redundancy because we set it up for a people who are accustomed to be able to trust their neighbors, their families, and their friends to do the right thing, to be honest, and not to try to bilk their fellow Americans by raiding these programs. It's become clear that that social trust has been diminished and that people have taken advantage of these programs. Deterrence is how we restore social trust. It's how we have Americans believing in one another again, believing in their government, believing in these programs, and that social trust is necessary for the entire American experiment to work. Like the Assistant Attorney General said, today's work is just the beginning. The Vice President, at President Trump's direction, is working incredibly hard every day to fight fraud in every agency, and DOJ to stop the fraud after it happens, arrest and prosecute the fraudsters. And I think today makes very clear to every fraudster, if you somehow get money that goes out the door that doesn't belong to you, the FBI is going to find you, put you in handcuffs, and prosecutors are going to throw you in jail. Again, I'm very grateful to the Acting Attorney General and his incredible team, including the strike force that sent prosecutors from all over the country to achieve today's results. President Trump promised justice, and today DOJ is delivering. With that, I'll turn it over to Administrator Oz.
Thank you, Andrew. I want us to think back to what life looked like here in Minnesota a year ago, because that's when we started hearing there were concerns in this state about programs that had been built to provide services that historically had been given by families to their family members who are struggling. Kim Brandt, who's standing behind me, received a phone call, and her team began to work with Minnesota, trying to understand some concerns that were raised, suspicious billing that didn't seem to make a lot of sense. But Minnesota, Department of Health here, said they had it handled. They were going to take care of it. And we didn't hear back from them until the last week of August at a conference, at an event around that conference. There was a comment made by someone who worked in that organization here in Minnesota that they actually didn't have it handled, and there were significant problems that had gotten so out of hand that panic was setting in. And it was at that point that we re-engaged the process and realized that there were programs that had been created here with massive spending that had increased so rapidly that there's no way to save the program. The Housing Stabilization Program, which takes care of people who are struggling with homelessness or substance abuse and many other reasons why they may need housing, especially in a place like Minnesota where in the cold that can be lethal, needed that program to survive. We are all up here because we love these programs. Medicaid is the fundamental payer of last resort for our most needy, most vulnerable citizens. And when we're unable to keep these programs alive because of fraudsters, it hurts all of us deeply. And that's what happened here in Minnesota. Housing Stabilization Program, which had gone from a tiny little program to over $100 million of spending just to find someone on the streets a place to stay, which had been doubling in its expenditures annually, was shut down. Now, these are not the outcomes that we desire, but when you have to force a shutdown, it's an issue. Now, along that way, Nick Shirley, stand up. Nick Shirley, I just noticed standing there, came and started doing videos. I want to call out the folks who are angry and frustrated about this. Thank you, Nick. Who want to, perhaps, if you want to serve, come join us. But if you can't serve, do what you can to shine a light on these cases. And with lots of folks beginning to tell us more and more of the different clues that we were able to put into a larger quilt to understand the magnitude of the catastrophe happening here in Minneapolis and Minnesota in general, we began to take action. Now, I want to point out that a lot of this started during COVID. If you're asking how and why, COVID led to a general abandonment of principles around protecting these programs. The corruption that ensued grew rapidly. Total Medicaid spending has increased by 50%. Since the start of COVID, 50% increase. Spending on prescription medications quadrupled in the last 6 years. Now, the president can work hard, and he has, to deal with fraud, and he made the most favored nation drug pricing a reality because it's going to save the American people $600 billion. But you cannot keep up with fraud if we're not actually getting it at the root cause of it, which is when states do not police their own systems. And so because COVID caused a lack of oversight, and because agencies like mine were gutted in their ability to provide program integrity, we have allowed this monstrous, outrageous increase in spending, which does not benefit anybody, to increase. The 15 arrests today Getting $90 million is a very important symbol because it's a shot across the bow, and we've all going to say this in our different ways, but I'm telling you, if you're a fraudster, do not walk away from this press conference. Run, because we are coming after you. We have lots of weapons to be able to use in order to accomplish that. The kinds of reprehensible behavior that we've identified with individuals bribing parents to lie that their children have autism, will carry that diagnosis for the rest of their lives. As a physician, that bothers me to my core. Not only are we selling our licenses as doctors when we allow this to happen, we're selling our souls, and there were doctors involved in some of these issues as well. It's rampant failure of this program is addressable, but we've got to be able to deal with it from within. There's a whistleblower. Her first name is Faye. She's on Capitol Hill today testifying, I believe. But she's spoken to me about the fact that there was a general fear within the health agency here of being called the racist. A fear that you'd be politically inappropriate, politically incorrect, and that's fear is what stifled much of the action that should have taken years ago and taken place in an effort to prevent why we're here today. But we will keep coming back and we will keep helping. So let me announce a few things that we are doing specifically on the Secretary Kennedy's leadership at HHS within CMS. We have deferred, as many of you know, $350 million to the state of Minnesota based on two sequential reports from the state of its spending over the last 2 quarters. This is all, again, money that we are going to defer because our job is to protect the federal taxpayer. And as Minnesota is able to justify some of these expenses, we will discuss these. We've also asked for a revalidation of all of the high-risk providers. Again, these are providers providing services for the kinds of things like driving someone to the office or carrying the groceries upstairs, things that, again, your family would often do for you. These of the 5,600 people who are being revalidated, the state has told us, as recently as May 7th, that only 40% have responded, 40% have not responded, or their responses are clearly inadequate. We believe that by the end of this month, which is the deadline, that half of these providers may no longer be allowed to provide services. That is a lot of people doing things to other human beings that are not supposed to have been able to do them. Again, that is the humanitarian risk that we're facing. We're here to fix these problems. We love these programs, but we're going to crush the fraudsters who threaten with corruption the foundation of the social safety that we have built in this wonderful nation over the last 60 years since the foundation of Medicaid and Medicare. We're going to make as many visits as we need to Minnesota. I've been here. I'll come back. So is everyone else on this panel. And my colleagues at OIG, DOJ, FBI, and many others share our passion. Chris, to the FBI.
All right, thank you, Administrator Oz, and thank you to the fine men and women behind me who made this day possible. I also want to specifically thank Acting Deputy Attorney General Colin McDonald. I want to thank Secretary Kennedy. I want to thank FTC Commissioner and his White House Task Force on Fraud, Commissioner Ferguson, obviously Administrator Oz, who you just heard from, and of course none of this would be possible without U.S. Attorney Rosen. Before I begin my crux of my remarks, I need your help. On the screen, you will see a subject. Depicted on the screen here of an individual who was a target of the investigation this morning. That individual is currently on the run after having jumped out of a fourth-story balcony. I want you to get a good look at him right now. You'll see him. You'll see him running here. He is currently on the run. We need your help. If you recognize this individual, if you know this individual, if you can provide any information related to this individual, I would encourage you to call 1-800-CALL-FBI, CALL-FBI, or go to the internet at www.tips.fbi.gov or call your local law enforcement. Obviously, this morning, our partners have gone into a lot of the details of today's charges, so I'll try not to repeat what was already said. What I would like to do, however, is speak briefly about the FBI's work in this particular fraud space. The Bureau, as you know, is one of the primary agencies responsible for investigating and rooting out healthcare fraud, with jurisdiction over both federal health insurance programs and private insurance plans. At any given time, we're running roughly 3,300 investigations related to healthcare fraud across the country. And unlike some of our work in, say, the violent crime space or the national security space, this work doesn't always get the same amount of attention or national headlines as some of those other threats we work. But let me be clear. This work is just as crucial, just as important, because healthcare fraud is not a victimless crime. It targets our most vulnerable population demographic. It costs our country hundreds of billions of dollars each year, as you heard from the folks behind me. And that drives up the cost of health care for everyone sitting in this room. It's not lost on me, and it should not be lost on any of you or anybody in the public, that every single dollar stolen through these schemes is a dollar that came from the pocket of hardworking American taxpayers. And each of those dollars were meant to help somebody in true need, not to line the pockets of shameless crooks filing false claims. Unfortunately, too often here in Minnesota lately, fraudsters have turned government programs into their own personal ATMs. What is even more troubling is these programs are meant to help our most vulnerable population demographic, the sick, the elderly, the disabled, and the unprivileged. That's why, starting last December, the FBI has surged personnel and resources here in Minneapolis, and across the country for that matter, to help in these efforts. These charges we're announcing today are a direct result of those efforts. These cases are often complex and take a lot of time and effort to investigate. Simply stated, they can take years to come to fruition. Fortunately, at the FBI, we have dedicated teams working healthcare fraud in each of our 56 field offices, not just Minneapolis. We've also got specialized teams of agents, intelligence analysts, data scientists, and forensic accountants that we deploy to support these cases, just like we deployed here in Minneapolis. So I want to personally thank our hardworking team here in Minneapolis under the leadership of SAC Chris Dotson, our financial crimes team at headquarters, and all the FBI personnel who've been part of our work here to get the results for the American people. I told you I wasn't going to repeat what was said earlier, but I am going to repeat this because I think this is important. The speed, precision, and effort that the folks behind me and their collective agencies have shown in the last several months is truly unprecedented. In my years in the FBI, I've never seen a healthcare fraud case of this breadth, depth, and scale come to fruition so quickly. It's historic, and everyone who worked this case should be extremely proud of what you accomplished in a very short amount of time. The next step, as the acting Deputy Attorney General said, is we're going to normalize that speed for cases in the future. Obviously, none of this is possible without our partner agencies represented here today, behind me, and so many others who couldn't be here today. These fraud investigations truly are a team effort, and thanks to our teamwork, these criminals will now face justice. As I close, I want to send a message to anyone still defrauding the good citizens of Minneapolis, the good citizens of the state of Minnesota, and the good citizens of the United States of America. No matter how many shell companies you have, no matter how clever or how brazen your schemes are, if you steal money from taxpayers and people in need, the FBI and our partners will pursue you relentlessly. We will find you and ensure you feel the power of American justice. Thank you.
We'll take a few questions. Yes, sir.
I'd like to ask for your assessment of the way immigration agents conducted themselves here earlier this year.
I'm not going to talk about that. Any other questions? Yes, sir.
Rich McHugh with News Nation. These prosecutions are vital, and it started here, and going back to 2022 when the prosecution started. So they're vital. The question I have is, what's the plan to go after the leadership that enabled this? There were whistleblowers going back to 2019 who said their careers were ruined. There were state employees here who raised this, and the administration has known about it, the government here, and have enabled it. So what's the plan to go after that?
Yeah, it's a very important question. The answer that I would give you is that the Department of Justice and our partners here on this stage, we are intent on building a fraud-fighting apparatus that's capable of reaching the full spectrum of fraud that we see wherever it is, and that there's no fraud that's too big for this team to solve, and we are intent in going wherever the facts require us to go and charge whoever we need to charge for those who are within the chain of criminal culpability. Anyone within the chain of criminal culpability, we are interested in finding you and prosecuting you. Those outside of the chain of criminal culpability, we are not. But it takes investigation, takes hard work, takes the agents and prosecutors working together to find the exact boundaries of those within the chain of criminal culpability, and that's what's underway.
But just a tiny follow-up. Is it your view that those who enabled this are part of this criminal enterprise?
I would hate to get ahead of any facts, of any investigatory findings. As I mentioned before, we are intent in uncovering and unmasking anyone involved in these schemes, including obstructing investigations into these schemes. That is our focus in this effort. Yes, sir.
You mentioned a new Medicaid fraud task force to be created here in Minneapolis. Can you explain what that entails and how it'll function and what will be different than what currently exists?
Yeah, so we're doing two things. One is we are adding strike force prosecutors to our Midwest healthcare strike force team. That will be to put additional prosecutors on the ground here in Minnesota in a dedicated fashion to work for the American people right here from Minnesota. Our healthcare fraud strike force team, their work returns $106 for every dollar we spend. The ROI is 106 to 1 for the work of these healthcare strike force prosecutors. So that's what we're doing there. The second thing is to build out a completely new Medicaid strike force team. We're going to start with 15 attorneys. Those are going to be deployable across the entirety of the United States to enter the places where Medicaid fraud is of utmost concern. That includes Minnesota, it includes California, it includes other places, but we're forming that team so that we can deploy them to the hot spots and make sure that we reach the fraudsters across the country. Yes, sir.
With criticism of the Minnesota state government over how this has all been handled, the Attorney General here in the state has said that his team was involved in the investigations and the charges that you described today. So can you talk about collaboration with Minnesota? And on top of that, is the federal government satisfied with what the state has done in this past legislative session to move forward with tackling fraud?
I'll start by saying that to make this work happen and to do it really well requires very good partnerships with local law enforcement, with local prosecutors. That's what will really solve this national problem, is people setting aside ego and agenda and deciding, you know what, we're actually going to do the right thing. That's what is going to be required across the country for this to work. Has the cooperation from the Minnesota individuals met that standard? No, it has not. It's fallen significantly short of the standard that we are seeking to set in terms of what a strong state and federal partnership looks like.
What about this most recent investigation?
Yes, sir.
I'm wondering within the recent raids, first off, Paul Bloom with Fox Channel 9 here in town. I'm just wondering, within the recent raids, do you continue to see ongoing fraud being committed? Or are obviously these charges go back several years? I mean, are the crooks still trying to get away with these schemes?
Yes, what we're seeing is these schemes are active, they are ongoing, and they frequently metastasize. When law enforcement shines a microscope on one area, they shift to another area. What we're seeing is that a lot of these fraudsters will actually cross-pollinate between different programs. They might be simultaneously defrauding a USDA program, Feeding Our Futures, for instance, while also simultaneously defrauding Medicaid. The fraudsters are agnostic as to whose money or what program they are defrauding. They just want our money. And so, yes, we are seeing that the fraud is ongoing, and we are interested in rooting it out.
Did the suspect in the ICS case that you indicted, last I heard he fled the country, is that still accurate?
So we are working rapidly to bring into custody everyone who is facing charges and who faces arrest warrants. I don't want to speak more specifically to any operational updates in that regard, but we are actively tracking that situation and others to make sure that folks are held accountable for the charges that have been brought. Yes, sir.
Oh, man. You guys just messed up some great information. I forgot what I just said. No, I'm just saying is this. We're going to stop it right there because there's a couple of questions there, but I don't care about. But I'm going to say this. It seems like conservatives, okay, people that support conservatives and support President Donald Trump are those Latinos who are legal in this country, those who are citizens that have respected the law. Seems like real Christians support President Trump. Real patriots support President Trump. We know what's up. We know what's going on. Now, you can go ahead and, save the land. You just kicked yourself out. Have a good one. You can pretend that fraud is not happening. You can pretend that Democrats are the good party. But, since maybe you're new to my channel, let me, I know, I'm self-promoting. I'm self-promoting over here. But let me go ahead and share a couple of my shorts. I'm going to give you 2 of them, okay? Just 2. I got 3. Yeah, you know what? I'll play all 3 of them. If you haven't seen this, I recommend you go check them out. Check them out. Here we go. We're going to go with the first one. This one is actually a clip that I grabbed from one of my lives last week. And then we're going to go ahead and go into unmasking the racist, anti-American Democratic Party. All right, let's take a listen to the first clip. This is who we stand with. You ready? Let's make a comparison, okay? We stand for American citizens first. Democrats stand with illegal immigrants first. Second, conservatives, we believe in God. Most of us believe that this country was founded under God, Judeo-Christian beliefs. Democrats believe this country belongs to Satan. Republicans or conservatives believe that we should have secure borders. Democrats believe to have open borders. Conservatives believe that American citizens' rights should be priority and we should have health care and help our vets and try to tackle the homelessness problem that we have of our Americans in this country. Democrats believe that they should use more money to take care and continue to support the drug habits of homeless people. This is who we stand with. Any questions? Any questions? So it's very interesting that people are still talking about this January 6th. For Pete's sakes, please, you got to give that up, man. You got to give that up. January 6th, I told you, I've been telling everybody, there was undercover FBI agents amongst the people who were peacefully protesting. They were there for hours. Nothing was happening. But the anti-Americans that come into my channel to tell me that I am the traitor, that I am the problem, are the same garbage that we have to throw away in this country. I made it very clear on that clip. Those who stand with the conservative side are actually American patriots. They actually care about the United States of America. Those who stand with the Democrats are communist rats. So if you're a true Democrat, let me tell you what your problem is today. You are a loyalist if you are still voting for Democrats. They have destroyed our country. If it wasn't for Trump, you wouldn't have 20 plus illegal immigrants, million illegal immigrants. You'll be having 60 plus million illegal immigrants. The borders are allowed all these criminals, illegal immigrants to come into our country. Just pour right on through. while Mexico made billions and billions of dollars of these massive migration caravans. You, the American people, lost hundreds of billions of dollars plus hundreds of thousands of lives to fentanyl, thanks to the negligence and stupidity of Mexican government. So if you're a migrant and you are in this country, you should be grateful and you should be on our side because we are protecting our border. If you want to make a family here, don't you want to have a family here with protection? Why you come to this country if not to protect it? See? That's the difference between you and I. You don't like this country. I love this country. I told you the difference between Republicans and Democrats on this short video. Now I'm going to show you what the Democratic Party stands for and who you are voting for. Fox Mulder, you better thread carefully. I've been reading your dumbass comments. You're getting out of control. Thread carefully.
There's absolutely no question that racial discrimination existed in our country, and in many places, people would argue that it still does. And so we had all kinds of ways to keep black people from voting. We had poll taxes, we had literacy tests, we had, I think they, some places even required them to count how many jelly beans were in a jar. All kinds of ways to keep black people from voting. This happened. I don't think anybody can deny that that was going on. And as far as I'm concerned, there is a pattern now of voter suppression going on in our country right now. And the Calais decision just plays into that by pretty much gutting the Voting Rights Act, which, by the way, was reaffirmed many times in a bipartisan way in acknowledging that this kind of racial discrimination occurred and that as a democratic country where everybody has an equal vote, that's not tolerable. But suddenly it's A-OK just because the Supreme Court says so. I consider it to be basically an out of control Supreme Court majority where there is a pattern.
Just a moment ago, our colleague Senator Herrera said there's a lot more to say, and indeed she's right. And in fact, I want to go back to her comments. She began by saying we have a long history of racial discrimination in this country. That's undoubtedly correct. And then she said, quote, we had poll taxes, we had literacy tests, we even had tests of how many jelly beans are in a jar. Mr. Chamberlain, when Senator Herrera says we had poll taxes, I want to ask you who we is, and in particular, what party was it that implemented poll taxes in the South?
Pretty confident it was mostly the Democrats.
And what party was it that put literacy tests in place in the South?
Same answer, mostly the Democrats.
What party was it that had tests like how many jelly beans are in a bottle?
The Democrats.
Tell me, what party were the founders of the Ku Klux Klan from?
I'm pretty sure that was the Democrats.
Indeed. In fact, Nathan Bedford Forrest, the founder of the Klan, was a delegate to the 1860 Democrat National Convention. What party wrote the Jim Crow laws in the South?
The Democrats.
And on this side of the aisle were members of the Republican Party. Who was the first Republican president?
Abraham Lincoln.
The Republican Party was literally founded to oppose slavery. We came into existence because slavery was a grotesque evil, and it was President Lincoln, the first Republican president, who signed the Emancipation Proclamation, who won the Civil War, and that resulted in the freeing of the slaves and the passage of the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendments. By the way, fast forward to the Civil Rights era. Bull Connor, one of the most noxiously racist politicians, what party was he from?
He was a Democrat.
Democrats. Now, let me go ahead and break this down here for some of you small-minded people, meaning libtards. This is for you, John Kroger. You dumb-ass son of a bitch. One day you will learn how to use common sense. And hopefully you achieve the skill that we call critical thinking. Here we go. This is how it turns out. We did not have a Democratic Party or a Republican Party. We had a Republican-Democrat sort of right in the middle, which we thought, okay, fantastic. But here's what happens. Some of the people got some common sense and started thinking about human rights. No, it wasn't the Democrats. And they thought, wait a minute, why do we have slavery? It's inhumane. You heard Ted Cruz, who says it perfectly. Now pay attention, because I don't want to have to explain it to you retards again. There was a sort of one people in the United States of America. One side of them, the Democrats, decided that they wanted to support slavery for the cheap labor. They didn't care about human rights. They didn't care about anything for them. As a matter of fact, they kept them ignorant. Couldn't read, couldn't write, etc. Most likely it's the southern states. But there was the other side of people who became Republicans. And this is what Ted Cruz just said. You see, there was a mind split amongst the people. That's why you and me, who does not agree with each other, have a mind split. See, we as conservatives, we believe that America is first. We believe the rights belong to the American citizens. We believe that American citizens are the voice of this country. That we the people, which by the Constitution was written for. Childbirth citizenship was argued because of the slaves. We know this. There is so much history, I cannot explain it to you all. But we had a fight between the North and the South. Funny enough, AOC thinks that the North was the bad side and the South was perfect. They're retarded, so they put things backwards. The mentality of the conservatives, who are, we believe, Republicans, are the ones who fought to free the slaves. Now, it's just a mentality. Those who believed that this country should have free men, it doesn't matter about making that cheap labor. It doesn't matter about grabbing these farmers to pick cottons and whatever else they're doing. That was inhumane. The treatment was not acceptable. Hangings, beatings, lashes, etc. unacceptable. Which I will put in parentheses right there. Sharia law is trying that same thing that we got rid of a long time ago. Let it be clear and let it be known. The Republicans today are the Republicans of Abraham Lincoln time. The Democrats of today are the Democrats of Abraham Lincoln's time. It is the Democrats who keep oppressing the black people. They only embrace the black men who vote for them while there is a voting season. After that, they throw them aside like garbage. Interestingly enough, any Republican black man who actually stands and fights for the black community somehow is called an Uncle Tom. Jealousy from those lazy, hateful, racist people will say those names. But in reality, the people that are fighting for this country to be great are the ones that continue to stand for America first. Ken Ross, kiss my ass. If you don't like the truth, you're on the wrong channel. You are on the wrong channel. This is the channel of truth. If you can't handle the truth, you gotta go. You gotta go. You know why we got Texas? We got Texas because Texans got sick and tired of the corrupted Mexican government. It is historical. Every Mexican will know the history. Most Mexicans today, not the real Mexicans that actually know history of Mexico, most retarded Mexicans today don't know what Cinco de Mayo is for. There is a lot of right-wing Mexicans, and they stand for patria, for the land, for their country. They fight for the truth. But the socialist Democrats called President Sheinbaum the best president in history. She's a sellout who allows the cartel to kill their own people, to destroy the economy of the country, forces Mexicans to come to this country illegally. So shut the hell up if you don't know about history. American-Mexican War. A lot of Mexicans became American in this time. Those who denied to be American were kicked off the land and sent down to the south of Mexico. Everybody else became an American citizen. Thus, we have a lot of Spanish names on the West Coast specifically. Arizona, New Mexico, Texas and California, parts of Utah and Colorado. But the retards that hate to see the success of the United States of America are the ones that are fighting against us. So I'm going to say this. If you stand against America, the United States of America, you're in the wrong channel. Get the hell out. Move. Live. Leave this country. Leave. You don't need to be here. Yeah, they have to be, you got to be careful what you guys say. Democrats, if you think that I'm lying, I'll prove it to you. Republicans, of course, conservatives, of course we want to be able to work with people, with migrants. It's got to be the right way. See, Democrats only fight for illegal immigrants because they are slaves. That's it. There's nothing else. There's nothing else. Ted Cruz said it perfectly fine. As a matter of fact,
there's absolutely no question that racial discrimination existed in our country.
And indeed, she's right. And in fact, I want to go back to her comments. She began by saying we have a long history of racial discrimination in this country. That's undoubtedly correct.
Pay attention and watch what the Democratic Party stood for and compare it to what's happening today. It fits. I'm not going to be ashamed of telling the truth. I'll tell you that right now. I'm not going to be ashamed of being an American citizen who fights for America. I'm not going to be ashamed of telling the truth. I'm not going to be ashamed of telling people to follow the law. Because it brings order. Because it brings prosperity. If we lose 20 million illegal immigrants right now, this country's economy will stay fantastic. As a matter of fact, it will become more affordable for all of those who stay here. Because the low demand and high supply has to lower prices. There are cities right now that are being completely desolated. Where they always had 250,000 people, now they got about 45,000 people. The prices are dirt cheap because there's no high demand. There's low demand. And when we have low demand and we still got businesses and factories making money through trading in globalism, it's fine. But you can't ignore the local economy and just make a business and give the money to foreign countries. You got to think of businesses to build here in America. If you are going to tell me this, let me ask you something. Dan Christopher, do you support Muslims? Oh, for Pete's sake, stop blocking people. Shit. I'm trying to ask questions. Don't block anybody. If I ask them a question and they don't answer within 15 seconds, get rid of them. I need to be able to ask these questions.
And then she said, quote, we had poll taxes, we had literacy tests, we even had tests of how many jelly beans are in a jar. Mr. Chamberlain, when Senator Hirono says we had poll taxes, I want to ask you who we is, and in particular, what party was it that implemented poll taxes in the South?
Pretty confident it was mostly the Democrats.
And what party was it that put literacy tests in place in the South?
Same answer, mostly the Democrats.
What party was it that had tests like how many jelly beans are in a bottle?
The Democrats.
Tell me, what party were the founders of the Ku Klux Klan from?
I'm pretty sure that was the Democrats.
Indeed. In fact, Nathan Bedford Forrest, the founder of the Klan, was a delegate to the 1860 Democrat National Convention. What party wrote the Jim Crow laws in the South?
The Democrats.
And on this side of the aisle were members of the Republican Party. Who was the first Republican president?
Abraham Lincoln.
The Republican Party was literally founded to oppose slavery. We came into existence because slavery was a grotesque evil, and it was President Lincoln, the first Republican president, who signed the Emancipation Proclamation, who won the Civil War, and that resulted in the freeing of the slaves and the passage of the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendments. By the way, fast forward to the Civil Rights era. Bull Connor, one of the most noxiously racist politicians, what party was he from?
He was a Democrat.
The Democrats. Why are you asking me who's the racist party now? It's still the Democrats. It's still the Democrats. See, as conservative Republicans, we believe that black people are equal. We are all equal. That's what we believe. We believe that you guys on the black side, you're smart. Democrats believe you're still ignorant. You know what that word is. They still think that you're an ignorant Negro with no education, with no knowledge, and you black sheep just willingly go to the slaughterhouse. And you don't know what's happening to you. Blacks that support Democrats today are probably the most retarded, probably lowest IQ that we have as Americans in this country. They literally think that you don't know how to use a computer. They literally think that you don't know how to read or write, or that you are capable of being independent. This is why they got your vote. They give you free welfare, keep you dependent on the government, and you keep voting for them because you're low IQ. That's why you vote for Democrats today. Oh, if you don't like the truth, you came to the wrong channel. You came to the wrong channel. And don't tell me I can't say anything because I'm not black. I don't give a shit about color. I do believe what this country stands for. And this country does not stand for color. If you're black, I don't give a shit. If you're white, I don't give a shit. If you're brown, I don't give a shit. What I care about is that you are an American that stands for American justice. Democrats are going to lose the midterms. That's not a question. But what I want is for you to free your mind. Stop working on that plantation. If you're an illegal immigrant, you are the next slaves of the Democratic Party. Even Crazy Crockett. Even Crazy Crockett said, hey, us Negroes are not picking cotton anymore. Let the illegal Mexicans do it. No joke. They literally said that. She is such a low IQ, pretending to be the smart lawyer, and that's what she says. See, the Democrats, when they start losing the support of the black community because they know what's happening, the first thing that they say is they are racist. They are against the black people. Look how many black men are in jail. Motherfucking man, when you have the minority of the people, when you have the minority of the population causing most of the crimes in America, there is a problem. You support a stereotype that fits and says that all black people are criminals. And when you act ghetto to feel like you belong more with blacks, that's even stupider. That's even more stupid. The fact that you think you gotta act ghetto, uneducated, that you gotta talk with horrible English, even worse than mine, that you have to act retarded, and that you have to be an annoyance in public, that makes you black? That's low IQ thinking. I remember I was working at a call center, and I get a call from this guy from Honduras. The whole time, I'm talking with him with respect. We're having a good conversation. The guy's talking to me, educated, with courtesy, etc. All of a sudden, he asks me, he's like, where are you from? I said, I'm from Honduras. And he just started acting ghetto, from El Barrio, if you know what I'm saying. And he started acting ghetto, and I said, wait a minute, hold on a second. This whole time, we've having this conversation, and you're educated. All of a sudden, I say I'm from Honduras. What makes you think that that's the way we talk? It just is what it is. So I'm going to tell you, if you are black, you don't have to be ghetto. You don't have to act a fool. You can speak proper. Like, people literally work hard at speaking improperly. They do it on purpose. Every single one of them do it on purpose. What's crazy is that the lower education, the lower IQ has always been on the South. Hey, I'm sorry if you're in the South, if that offends you. Hey, if the shoe fits, wear it. But if this doesn't affect you, then don't say shit and stay quiet. Black people think that if they talk like a person from the South, they think that's being black. No, it's not. White people from the South speak that way. You just talk like the Southern white man. Man, the truth shall set you free. I'm going to tell you something. I believe that all humans are equal. Some have more education than others, sure. But there is humans. It's just one race. Now, we may have a bunch of ethnicities, that's fine. But there's only one race, a human race. And the one party that continues to support racism is the Democratic Party. They made a flip, they changed, and now they're back to it. Oh, you're not gonna believe this. Guess who was paying? Guess who was paying the Proud Boys? Guess who was paying for the KKK? White supremacist. Guess who was paying for protesters on the street to stand against this country? That's right. You're right. Democrats. Democrats allow communists to tell us what to do. But some of us, we got some common sense. We use some critical thinking. Some of us love history. I may not know everything, but I know enough to say we are on the right path on the Republican side right now. You know this hat right here? It triggers people. What I find it funny to me when people get triggered from this hat is that the same retards that have a problem with the name Gulf of America are the same retards that accepted colonizers calling it the Gulf of Mexico. Mexico is not the name of the native Mayans, Incas, Aztecs, and Palos Verdes and all the other Indian tribes that we had in Mexico. That was a name given by the Spaniards. Isn't that interesting? Sense of us. I don't know what the hell you're saying there, sir. You are not on that list, sir. I don't know who you're talking to or what the hell you're saying. I apologize. I don't know what you're saying. You see, this is why we say assimilate. When you come to this country, assimilate. Why do we say that? Why do we say that? This is not stolen land, asshole. We conquered this land. That's right. I said it. We conquered this land. What do you have to say now? All you guys that want to come in here being assholes, you don't even know what the hell you're talking about. Yeah, right. Uh-huh. You guys don't even know what the hell you're talking about. Assimilate. Why do I say we? Because I have assimilated to this country. The good history is my history. The bad history is my history. And I learn from it. See, before you retards come out here and say this is stolen land, let me remind you that the Apaches were scalping their own native neighbors. The Comanches was kicking ass in the Midwest. Every single Native American was here trying to conquer land. But guess what? The white man beat all of you. Deal with it. They didn't have to fight you too much. They didn't have to fight Native Americans. All they had to do is bring a cold. Bring some smallpox. Let their own bodies take care of themselves. Survival of the fittest, they say. Now you say, what a guy. Oh, this guy has no feelings, no empathy. Oh, how dare he. Shut the hell up. It is reality. We can't sugarcoat it. It has to be said directly and straight up. Whether you like it or not, I don't give a shit. It is the truth. It is the truth. With that being said, I don't hate the people, Indians or whites or anybody. I don't hate any of them. For those people that says that we should have reparations for black people, are you kidding me? Where's my reparations for all the crimes that black people commit? Where's my reparations? Shut the hell up. Nobody needs reparations. We are all now one country. Blacks, whites, Indians, it doesn't matter. Everybody is the same. We all vote because we have the right to vote. Edwin Robles, chupa huevos, cabrón. The reason why I have an accent is because this country is a nation of many countries. Tell me one state that doesn't have an access, pendejo. Man, I love cursing in Spanish. I like that. Makes me feel right at home. No pal tus huevos, cabrón. That's a Mexican word right there. That's a Mexican guy right there. Just so you guys know. Edwin is one of those illegal immigrants that wishes that he had papers, and that's why he hates me, because I have my paper. Wait a minute. What is this? Do I think it's my white privilege card. Hold on. Bam! You want one of these? Huh, Edwin? Huh? You guys want one of these? Don't be jealous. Don't be hating. Don't be hating. You got to get one of these white privilege cards in order for you to defend this country. I get it. Latinos for Trump. 87% of Latinos support President Trump. Isn't that great? Oh, man, I love it. I love it. Yeah, Edwin, you wish you were born here. You're anchor baby. If you were born here, you're an anchor baby. You know how I know you're an anchor baby? You have no loyalty to the United States of America. You don't belong here. You should be stripped from your citizenship. and you should go back to being with your illegal parents in Mexico. How's that? You want to insult me? I will tear you apart with insults. I am not Jesus Christ. You don't like my opinion? Get the hell off my channel. This is a channel where we support American citizens. This is a channel where we put America first. You want to understand what America first means? Then you can ask a question. But I don't need any illegal immigrants to come over here and tell me how to protect this country. I do it by supporting our military on everything they do. Even if the world thinks that's bad, that's still my military. That's still my country, and I will not betray this country. It is a privilege for me to be called an American citizen. You got no idea because you have no sense of patriotism. I have over 99% of my Latino community that supports me and believe what I believe. So your stupidity doesn't make a difference to me. This country is so great, even your ignorant ass is here. This country is so badass. The whole world wants to come and live here. Jesus, get back across the Rio Grande. Oh, man. And I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. Appreciate that freedom. Appreciate it. Defend it. Fight for it. If you're old like me and you can't fight in the military no more, at least support this damn country. Man. Oh, man, these people really, really don't get it. They don't get it. Let me see. Man, God bless the USA, man. God bless the USA. Look at this. This is the kind of Americans that I love. This is why I support President Trump right here. Let me give you this, bam, on the chat. That's why I love my president. This is the POTUS that I want to have in this country, and I'm proud to be part of this country because of him. President Donald Trump is a genius of a president. He's been able to neutralize terrorist cartels from Venezuela. He's put Cuba in check. He's taking care of Iran. As a matter of fact, Iran is about to be wiped off the face of the earth if they don't be careful. And I'm talking about the regime, not the good Iranian people. We love the Iranian people. You know what breaks my heart about the Iranian people? Prior to 1979, I get it. There was a horrible deal that was made with the resources. I think that should have never happened. But the fact is that even then, people had more freedoms in Iran than they lost in 1979 when the Ayatollah got put into power. Millions of Iranians have died by the hands of their own terrorist regime called Iranian Islam. They are responsible for the Houthis. They are responsible. Pakistan better tread carefully. We know what they're doing. We know what they're doing. They better tread carefully. But I can tell you this, as I told people last year, months ago, I told you when NBC, ABC was saying that President Trump was a coward, and that's why he left the G7 in Canada. I think there was a G7. One of the Gs in Canada, they called him a coward because he was over there with other power leaders of the world. And I said, watch what's about to happen. President Trump is not a coward. Let me tell you why he's not a coward. He is just like me. He hates being controlled. He hates being told what to do. And he will always kick ass until his last breath. A few days later, when the leftist people on the legacy media were making fun of Trump, calling him a coward, you know what I saw? I saw some B-2 bombers going to Guam. I gotta admit, I doubted for a second. And why is he doing that? They're going to know. They're going to know we're coming. By the time that we get to Guam, they're going to prepare for a future attack. And you know what? Fool me. Because he sent those B-2 bombers to Guam is a distraction. Because the real deal was already heading over on Midnight Hammer. And before you know it, Vicky, shut the hell up. Go look it up. Everybody knows it's true. It's not a secret. Everybody knows. Samuel, I thought you were on my team. My bad. Okay, now you can go kick rocks for 24 hours. I thought Samuel was on my team. Maybe it's the wrong Samuel. Yeah, there we go. Okay. So, Midnight Hammer, boom, destroyed the nuclear facilities. We said, hey, leave it alone. Knock it off. You know what? They said, F you, America. We're going to get that uranium back. And we're going to build 11 nukes. And now we got the capability to hit the United States of America. Well, some of us pay attention. And some of us take those threats very seriously. Well, death to America, said Ayatollah. Khamenei said death to America. You know what happened to Khamenei? America gave him death. I think maybe we misunderstood the message. But I can tell you this. 8 million Venezuelans left Venezuela because of their government. You know what they're doing now? They're going back. The Venezuelan economy is starting to rise again. Cuba never got a benefit from the government. The only reason why Cuba was selling gas is because the government was keeping that money. That wasn't for the private business owners. That wasn't for the communities. That wasn't for Cubans. It was for the communist regime and those who stood with them. So don't blame Trump for the sanctions. Don't blame Trump because they're not getting free oil from Venezuela. It wasn't for Cuba anyway. It was for the communists. It was for the evil Castros. So sad if your last name is Castro. I'm sure you will still be one of the good Castros. But these are the evil Castros that we're talking about. Presidents multiple times talked about what is going on in Iran, and not one of them had the balls to do what President Trump is doing. Chicanos for Trump says, I love you long time. It doesn't say time, but I'm telling you, man, common sense Latinos, bro, they're on our team. They laugh at this because they know why I wear it. Like Edwin, he's so butthurt. This guy says he was born here, and yet I want to prove my point. These anchor babies have no loyalty to the United States of America. There is my proof. Every day I'll prove it to you. But those who respect the law, who knows how great this country is, will continue to fight for it. Even if you came here illegally, and you got papers, and you're defending this country, hats off to you, sir. You would be in my team. My loyalty lays with the United States of America, period. And President Trump is the best thing that's ever happened to this country in the 4 decades that I've been here. Nearly 4 decades that I've been in this country. I saw the destructive Democratic, Communist, Socialist, Marxist Party. They destroyed the real Democrat Party. They have corrupted it like a cancer that spreads fast and fatal. If you are a Democrat, if you are an American citizen and you're a Democrat, let me tell you something. You are our brothers and sisters, and we love you. And we want you to be on our side. There are those who are made to be soldiers, carry rifles, and be in the military. There are others that don't go to the military, but are great militia and are waiting for the opportunity to fight here locally if shit hit the fan. There's more Americans armed. Can't wait to see tyrants try to tell us what to do again. And you leftist, socialist, effeminate cowards will know who real men are in this country. I know gay guys that are more manly than you, Edwin. I know gay guys that have bigger balls. As a matter of fact, I know trans women that got bigger balls than you. Edwin, you're garbage, bro. What a damn shame. You should be over here celebrating how great this country is instead of being a dumbass. Yeah, Dennis Herrera. Just call me Bubbies. Bubbles, that makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense, you little flake. Fruity Pebbles. Fruity Pebbles. We want real men in this country. We want real women in this country. Don't let the trannies have bigger balls than you. How dare you? I am not Jesus Christ. I am not the kind of Christian you want me to be. Let me tell you something that I learned a long time ago in my life experience. You are never going to be able to please everybody. So I got to be a hard-ass Christian. That's right, I said it. I am not your pussy Christian. We fight back, and we stand for the truth. Fight, fight, fight. Oh, yeah, hold on. My favorite felon. Look at the demons coming out here to tell me I'm not a Christian. Who are you? Who are you to tell me I'm not a Christian? When you don't respect the law, what did Jesus tell you? What did God tell you? To respect the law of the land. Who are you to tell me I'm not a Christian, you hypocrite? You snake? You lying ass viper? Who are you, you hypocrite? You know what's crazy? Is when they come and they listen to me and they say, oh my God, this guy is so hateful. Shut the hell up. You know what the people tell me that know the truth, that actually stand for the truth? You know what they tell me? Say it, Dennis. Preach, brother. That's what they say. And I'll take that every day, anytime, over any of you libtard, leftists, I need a hug from mommy and daddy. Tards. President Trump. What an amazing president we have. Man. I just can't get enough. I just can't get enough. I just can't get enough.
Most important, never ever give up. The one thing I've really learned is that perseverance, never quitting, never giving up is a big deal. And whatever happens, no matter where you are in life, keep pushing forward. Always push forward. Never stop. And make the adversary quit first. Second, at this pivotal time, you have to think big. Small solutions yield small results. Only big ideas will yield to tremendous change and greatness. Nothing great was ever built without the word momentum at your side. So take that momentum and go for it. The towering men and women of history have always been people of action. If you enjoy what you're doing, there's no such thing as work. It's not work. It's a great pleasure. There will always be time for taking the easy path or to settle for maybe a short-term fix, but for the best results, it'll always be a product of unbelievably hard work. Life is so competitive. You have to work hard. It's never going to come easy. Focus on the task before you, and you have to be brave. America was not founded by weak and timid men or women who cowered in the face of evil or sat by as danger loomed. Freedom is not a gift that lasts long in the hands of cowards and weak people. So wherever the duty calls, whatever danger comes our way, you will fight, 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 and you will win, win, win. God bless the United States of America. Thank you very much.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Hey, guys. All right, all my patrons that are here, if you are new here, I want you to be ready for this. Here, don't delete those comments. Don't delete the comments. Check this out. Paul Salsi, remove that one. Don't say that one. We don't want him to say it. We don't want to say it either, okay? All right. Here we go, my patriots. I'm going to drop some knowledge on you so that when ignorant libtards come into our chat to say, draft dodger. Quick disclaimer. Hey, Cindy. Hi, Samuel. Quick disclaimer here before, I don't know, sometimes, our conservatives are also a little bit, a little weak. We get it. There's a weak link everywhere. But here, let me break this down for you, okay? Remember, they keep saying draft dodger. I don't remember having the draft, but anyway, draft dodger, they say. Oh, well, check this out. Let me tell you something. First of all, let me tell you, I don't care, and I told I told a lot of my patrons that I have seen veterans in person. I said, listen, I know that you're at a high class, but I'm going to tell you right now, whether you are at the lowest level of military rank or the highest level of military rank, as an American, you are the same to me. And you bring me honor, and you bring this country honor. Listen to me here. Listen to me here. So I tell you this because I want you to understand that. But just to make a point, I want you to be ready for this truth. Whenever you hear them say draft dodger, well, what I see, it's, I'm looking for a job. They offered me a job for $8 to go do some dishwashing. But I know that I can be a manager and I can go and make $25 to $30 an hour. So you see, President Trump went to military school, by the way. I bet you didn't know that. He did. Highest in his class, by the way. He didn't become a private. He didn't enlist in the military. You guys ready? You guys already know where I'm going with this. What is his title for the military right now? That's not how the military works. Shut the hell up, NASA. Tell me, what's his rank? What's his rank? Tell me. Oh, please tell me. What is his title? Commander-in-Chief. Woo! Let's go. You know the Trump, he's just like a boss, baby. He's like a boss. Commander. He's got the highest level of the military position. Draft dodger. Commander-in-chief. I appreciate it, Patriots. All my Patriots are over here just worried that my voice is not coming out. In the meantime, the libtards, they just all ran away like scared little girls. Woo! So, my dear Patriots, the next time that somebody says President Donald Trump is a draft dodger, remind him he went to military school and he is now the commander-in-chief. Guess what else he got? Guess what else he got? He got a red button. He's got some codes. Nukes. Yep. Commander-in-chief. Highest level of military, baby. Whether you like it or not. 4-star generals got to do what he says. Whoo. Man. You like that? Absolutely, Don. Oh, man, that was some hard work. You notice how the libtards cleared the chat? Oh, my goodness. No more. Okay? From now on, look at that. All the libtards left. From now on, you know the truth. They can no longer say that Trump is a draft dodger. Oh, man. That's a wonderful feeling, ain't it? You know what? You know why I celebrated the most? Because that's a wisdom that is just not. When it comes, it comes. You know what I'm saying? That wisdom right there, my friends, is priceless. Yeah, you got shot too. Yeah, that's right. Samuel, I knew I loved you, bro. You're representing, the European, one of the European countries in good spirits. Ooh, let me see who else we got. All my patrons love that. Yeah. Yeah, man. Deferred the draft 5 times. You know why? Because he knew he had a bigger purpose. His position was not to be just in the military. His position, he's a future. He's what's the word I'm looking for? His fate was to be the commander-in-chief. Well done. Well done. Well done. You see, that is the difference between us and the libtards. We actually love our country and we love our president. Now, we love them more because, I don't know, maybe part of it is because, well, maybe the leftists hate him so much that we have no choice but to defend him. That's just what I think. That's what I think. What do you guys think? I was going to open the phone lines, but these libtards, they never come in here to try to make a conversation. They never come in to try to make a conversation. I don't give a shit how you look at it, burden law. You are a burden. I don't care how you look at it. What's a general? What's a commander? Huh? What's a commander? Go ahead, say it. Say it, you insolent imbecile. You infidel. You're insulting soldiers. Shut the hell up. You insult the commander-in-chief of the United States of America and of the military every single day. Shut the hell up. Man, I love it when the truth comes out, don't you? Man, I tell you what. I do got to go and, bring Mrs. Herrera some food. These libtards can't hang, man. I'm telling you. When I get going, bro, can stop me. I eat these chunks for breakfast. Anytime. Grant Reed, you honor me. You honor me with that comment. God bless you, brother. God bless you. I know Robert, I know Brian, I know Man, I know all of my Patriot veterans, Jason Martin, Jason Beatrice, his son, everybody who is in the military that is actually for this country and love this country, agree with that message. I'm very honored. I really am. You have no idea how special I feel that I have some American patriots that love me and support me. It's not about being popular. It's about having somebody with me that loves this country as much as I do, if not more. I love you all. I'll see. Maybe I'll come back tonight. I don't know. I want to go record some videos so that I can have for my background. Got to bring my wife some lunch. And then I'm going to have to take a drive. I want to go drive down to Seattle. Hopefully I have enough time. If I don't see you tonight, I will see you tomorrow for sure. You all have a wonderful day. Be blessed. God bless you. God bless your family. And God bless the USA.